flag march, and he had the UK flag draped around him, but he was waving the Israel flag. I mean, I just think they have the same problem we have here in America, where there's that older generation of evangelical Christians are completely brainwashed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's full-blown crazy that they're like, okay, you can support Israel, fine, but when you're at a pro-UK rally to support patriotism, you don't bring a foreign flag. Like that's just, it's, how retarded can you get? You know, like you're there to support your country, not another country. And they can't understand the difference. They're so, I don't know what kind of brainwashing these people went through, but it's all the boomers over there doing it. It's not the young people doing it. So, I don't know. Strange. Did you see this? The kid they arrested for killing Charlie Kirk. It's up in the jumbo now. He's saying he didn't kill him. He's denying it.
I saw they had him on Suicide Watch over the weekend, but no, I didn't know he was denying. That's a pretty crazy detail of that story. I mean, didn't he confess to his father, and his father then called the police on him, and now his father and his mother are collecting the $100,000 reward the details leading to that guy's arrest, and his father turned him in, so his father got that reward. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of craziness going on with this. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, the governor was up there complaining that he wasn't cooperating, and he was saying that he didn't kill him. Oh, one more disaster from the FBI.
I definitely think whenever you look into the whole case and you see him not wanting to admit to it after, he supposedly turned himself in and everything else, and then you look at the oddities with him saying he lived with his parents at first, but now they're saying he lives with a transgender roommate. The whole thing just seems sketchy, like they keep trying to add stuff to it in a way to cover their butts or to push a narrative or something along those lines.
Well, yeah, they're trying to do whatever they can to give Israel a free pass for killing him. And they're going to try to blame it on anybody. I mean, Ben Shapiro went out there and he stated that it was the Muslims, the white supremacists, that did it. And then he said Nick Fuentes is Groypers. Like, Nick Fuentes is a Christian. He's like in line with Charlie Kirk. Why would he kill Charlie? His Groypers, why would they attack him? Like, why would a white supremacist Muslim tranny, even though that person doesn't exist on the planet, kill Charlie Kirk? Like, it's just, they're throwing out, like, look at everybody except for us kind of thing. It's like, and Charlie said, he stated it, he was worried Israel was going to kill him, and he talked to more than one journalist about this, and then he gets killed. So yeah, there's a lot of and then Netanyahu's the first one to post out on it and all this stuff. Like, yeah, it's pretty there's a lot of shady stuff going on with this case. And then the one image they had of him walking up the stairs was actually AI. It's not him. And you can see the shirt. The shirt is different. Like, on one of the shirts he has, it has the writing across the top of the flag and the bottom, and then the other shirt they show him wearing, it only has the flag without the writing. So that they've been pumping out AI generated images on this case from the very start. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens here.
Well, I thought that shirt was always AI. I was always known that was an AI generation. Some of them, they even threw Ben Shapiro's face on it. But the FBI grainy videos, because the FBI released the grainy videos of the guy looking at the camera, but the perfect, high definition camera videos of the stairwell, the guy doesn't look at the camera. He's looking away. He's looking to the side. And I think that side profile does not look like, the Tyler Robinson guy. And neither do the front-on pictures in the grainy shot. And the entire jaw structure looks completely different from the person in that photo versus that kid Tyler. They have like completely different lower jaw structures. I mean, the guy could have been doing something with his mouth or something. It could have been odd, but lots of suspicion coming from this thing. So now this guy's not even taking guilt. So I guess they're gonna have to, get the weapon and all kinds of different, supporting evidence for it. But Red Trash, good to see you this morning, buddy. Jump on in there.
Yeah, good morning, Rush, General, everyone else. A lot of inconsistencies with this story, as everyone is acknowledging. I heard, I don't know if it's true, I don't have the resources like a lot of you guys do, that this Tyler Robinson, the shooter, alleged shooter, his dad was a former law enforcement, and he talked his son into turning himself in, but to help him persuade his son, he called a former youth pastor of the kid, who just happens to be a section chief for the Secret Service in Utah. So I don't know if that's true, if someone wants to look into that, but very weird. And then, just the inconsistencies with how in 2022, Charlie Kirk called out Mike Cox, or whatever his name is, the governor of Utah, on the transgender issue in boys and girls sports, and then just so happens to be that state that this occurs in. But it's crazy. There's a lot of the whole gun thing makes zero sense. Changing clothes on the roof to change back into the different clothes on the roof, like their stories just don't add up. So what's sad is we're living in an era where we can't get even one thing to be true, and they expect us to just believe the narrative that is given. And I think the American people are waking up to the whole notion that everything's fucking bullshit. Like, it's bullshit, and they're losing a lot of the base, if you will, not just because of that notion that everything's bullshit, but now people are, like, massive amounts of people are waking up to this Israel ideology of them being behind everything. And that's what's really interesting. But I'll land it there. I just wanted to check in with you guys, and I appreciate the mic. I'll be listening. If I have anything to chime in about again, I'll do so. Thanks.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Red. The inconsistencies of the shooting itself. I was wondering why it's the artillery spray. Maybe Kelly, if she's down there, can come up. She was talking to me about this in the back end. Shot off in that direction. If it was a head-on shot and it went through the front of his neck, the bullet would have gone out the back of his neck, and the spray, that artillery spray you have after a bullet, enters and exits a body, it would have followed the bullet path, and the spray would have been on the other side of Charlie Kirk, but it was on the front, like right side of Charlie Kirk. And so now there's all this, people slowing down the video and looking at different edits of the video. One of the security guards make this weird move as soon as they start the signaling with the hats and the other guy's arms. One of the security guards steps forward and tucks his arm underneath his other arm, and people are making the statement that he used some type of gun in that situation. But also, people have found someone in the crowd that's like, 3 or 4 people back in the crowd that picks something up, points it up, shows like a recoil from it, and it's all from that same direction. I mean, it's just extremely odd. Now we're getting all these like second gunman type of thing. And when those were first being pushed, I kind of overlooked them and just saw them as bogus. But I mean, there seems to be a little bit of validity behind some of those second gunman theories. But Overwatch, it's good to see you, buddy. Jump on in there.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I've been down the rabbit holes of the bullet and the which direction. It's just, when a bullet goes into meat, not to be crass like that, yeah, it creates the wound cavity and everything, but it just depending on how the entrance portion of the flesh can close up around it, to me it looked like it went in and that was like his heart pumping, I don't know. But yeah, it's just really weird. I've seen all the videos of the people standing around doing weird stuff, but I don't know if we'll ever know the truth. Unfortunately, 100%. I don't believe the rifle was a takedown rifle, or at least not the one they found. We don't have any ballistics. If that was a 30-06, 30-06 is a very powerful rifle. I mean, that's basically the highest caliber that back there in the war that most soldiers could tolerate to shoot. That's what they went with, I mean, you shoot a bolt action, you shoot a box of 20 with a bolt action without a good recoil pad on it at 30-06 at the range, and you're done. You're like, I'm good. And I shoot a lot, but I'm like, yeah, I shoot a box of 20 of those, and yeah, I'm good. That's enough for today. So that's a very powerful high velocity bullet, and it's 30 caliber, and I just can't believe that didn't, if that's the caliber it was, that didn't pass through. Or at least I just can't believe it was contained. I've even the only thing I've ever seen a 30-06 like that is like shooting a pig in the skull. And their skull's very thick, but even that will pass through. And that hit in the meat of his neck. Even if it hit his spine, there should have been some kind of exit wound, and it because your neck's only 5 or 6 inches, and at 200 yards, that thing pretty much has full-on velocity. It hasn't lost very much. If it was a 150 or 180, still, there should have been blowout in the back of his neck, and there should have been people with residual, matter and blood on them. And the other big thing is how the crew, the film crew or the security crew, whoever the hell they were, went and started dismantling the stage and cameras and stuff. And that's just that to me, that is the most, I call, bullshit of all of it, of all the narratives, is that's just not done. That's a crime scene. And who are these film crew or people that after Charlie's just got, your first thought is, I need to go dismantle the stage? Like, who does that? That's not normal by even from a working man's standpoint, Well, I better get in there and disassemble the stage that somebody was just murdered on. So those people were told to go do that. That's very concerning and very troubling. The other thing I'll say is, I don't believe the narrative of the kid, changed clothes, 27 times or however many times now they said he did. I think there was more people involved. He may or may not have actually pulled the trigger. He probably did go to the roof, but I think there was more people involved. And I don't think that rifle that they left in the woods with that jacked up scope orientation on it is the rifle. And that's what I got so far today. Landed.
Kind of building off of what both of y'all just said. I don't know if any of y'all follow or keep up with a guy named John Cullen. here on X, but I try to watch a lot of his stuff and kind of take it somewhat with a grain of salt. But he posted several pictures of the perch position where supposedly Tyler Robinson was, and it kind of builds off your point, Rush, where his viewpoint was more or less straight on, and everything about the angle of that bullet appears to be coming from Harley's left. And people in the crowd said they heard the shot to their right, if I'm not mistaken, seeing different interviews and such like that. And everything about the blood coming out appears like it came from that direction and not from straight on. And that was one of the things that kind of struck me as odd. Now, something else that he did was he calls it his crack thump analysis, where he can compare, I guess, different calibers and such, and the noise that they make, and the time difference between them. And he says that this does line up to be a 30-06 round from 143 yards based on the sounds of when the gun went off to the thump of it hitting. Now, what that doesn't prove is what direction was yards, and I wish that there was could see exactly where there's a radius of 143 yards around to see if there's another position in which a shooter could have been on, because it doesn't add up of where Tyler was at to where that bullet looks like it came in from.
Yeah, lots of suspicious facts about it, lots of questions to be answered. I mean, it's just they've left all those holes out there almost intentionally. I mean, when did he get his autopsy done? I mean, they almost directly took his body from Utah, and they had those presidential honors flying him out of Utah, and flew his body into DC, and then they had that scene of his wife holding his hand. I mean, there really wasn't like a 24. They had the time to do an autopsy. Has an autopsy been performed? On Charlie, or did they just cremate his body? Prepare his body for burial, and not perform an autopsy. It's just all I really want to see that autopsy to see the damage to his body and where the entrance and the exit wounds, and if that'll be made public. I mean, isn't that kind of public record in some places? So I'm sure more and more will come. The bottom line is, we all know that Israel did it. I think is the biggest conclusion of the Charlie Kirk incident. I mean, more and more evidence is coming out that he was turning against Israel. He turned down a donation of I think 30 or 40 million, and then denied the going and kiss the wall trip to Netanyahu. Netanyahu even pointed that out in his speech. I mean, I think the evidence now that we know that he turned down money from Israel, I mean, to me, the evidence is extremely overwhelming that Israel had the motivation, and now they're completely setting up that Ben Shapiro is going to take over Turning Point USA. Lots of conservatives are saying how that's a good thing. I mean, it's crazy how brainwashed MAGA is in this sense. But Frank, you had your hand up. Jump in there, buddy.
Yeah, good morning. I was driving to the auto parts store today, and I saw flags half-mast at a McDonald's, which is kind of surprising. It was an area that's mostly very liberal, mostly nignogs, and I guess the owner of that McDonald's, or the manager or whoever, is obviously a little right-leaning. So I was surprised to see that. That was wild. But I also, I go into spaces before my favorite space with the General and Rush, and there's people who use AI a lot to go over these aspects of Charlie Kirk, everything to do with our occupied government, And AI brought up this point about Charlie meeting his wife at the Wailing Wall, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, none of this makes sense. Her crying over the casket and somebody there filming and taking photos like that. Why would anyone allow that when you're mourning over, your life partner? So there's just so much stuff that doesn't make any sense about this and how the narrative is going. I'm constantly trying to enlighten the mouth-breathing NPCs on other platforms that don't believe the narrative. They do this every time. There's always a narrative. 24 years later after 9/11, people are finally understanding that they were baited with a stupid narrative into going to war for 20 years for nothing. So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents so far. Thanks.
Yeah, I hate those spaces where people are literally just listening to AI. I mean, I could go and talk to Grok myself if I wanted to. That stuff's so annoying to me when I have to hear that. I mean, that is a pretty good resource, though.
I know. I don't think it was. I don't think it was Grok. They were using they call it. The name they were using was Ava. I don't think it was Grok, but. Yeah, they were coming up with all kinds of crazy stuff about Dershowitz being a lawyer for Alex Jones and all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Oh, you haven't validated any of it? The aspect, though, I mean, I was just talking about the fact of people listening to Grok or Ava or any other AI platform and listening to it talk over the thing. It feels a bit dystopian. I mean, they're even taking over the spaces. I mean, AI is taking her job everywhere. But I mean, if it's true that he met his wife in Israel during one of the Kiss the Wall trips, I mean, that's a pretty substantial fact. It'd be interesting to learn where they met. I'm gonna have to go do the research, Frank, since you didn't validate the information you brought for me, and see if they did meet in Israel. I mean, because if they met in Israel and I mean, she's his handler. I mean, because it's obvious that he was telling other people like Harrison Smith that he was afraid for his life, and if he was murdered, it was Israel. As soon as he's murdered, his wife, goes on the news, has this like powerful speech, but at the same time, she's telling people that the website's still going and go and join the website of Turning Point USA. And now they're turning over that organization to the people that killed him. And if she's the one that's kind of in control of that, and she's willingly just giving that organization over to Israel, I mean, it's extremely suspicious. But her beating him in the Wailing Wall, that kind of takes some of the suspicion out of it.
Research about that, but I mean, I was today. Well, after now, but obviously, we can see how it goes forward. That if she is being handled, I think she's going to be kept on a close leash with everything. So we'll see.
Yeah. Good morning, 36 Grid gentlemen.
I'm here. Over. Hey, just a couple thoughts here. I got done watching that guy that died in the ice, the professional hockey player. And I don't know if any of you guys watched that, but when he got hit in the neck, they cut his artery there, and every time his heart beat, it squirted out. And that wasn't even remotely as much blood that come out on Charlie. Charlie looked like he had a hose, and you can clearly see that Charlie doesn't work out, and his veins aren't as big. But the other thing I thought about is I don't think what he was under that canopy. I don't think anybody on top of a roof could have even seen anything but his knees. I just don't think the angle is I think it's literally from his right side. Somebody, whether it's, I don't think you could hit him from a rooftop because of that canopy. But I mean, I would have to go over there and check it out. But to me, I think that you couldn't even see the guy's head with the angle of the one that they were assuming was behind the fence that might have shot him, or you know what I mean? Like, the angles just don't seem legit. And if it is the case, if it is real and it comes from, I think it comes from the side, just because, and I think that part is the exit wound. I think they actually hit him in the back of the head above the ear. I mean, it's some of this other thing, so I think the angle's pretty sharp. But anyway, that's kind of my take after looking at a billion things and not knowing exactly if it's AI or not. But the other guy.
Well, if he hit him from the direction that it went in, so I don't know.
Like above the ear, maybe? You don't think it would have shoved it down how it went?
I don't know. I don't think he got, but it does look like an exit wound. Like when it comes out, it's just like it's not like a hose squirting out. It's just like a dump. But I don't know. I mean, maybe that could be from the concussion of the actual bullet. I don't know. But yeah, go ahead, Rushy.
Right.
I mean, but they did have a clear line of sight. There's a photo from the FBI or some police organization behind where the guy's supposed elbow prints were at in the gravel. Funnily enough, if you look at the lower roof level, there's also more elbow prints in the gravel. I mean, it's odd. It's odd that lower roof level has the same kind of impressions of someone laying down. But from there, you could see underneath the tent. It would have been a difficult angle and barely been able to see his neck from that angle. But I think it would have been possible. It would have been very difficult, but it did look like from laying down in the prone position, he could have seen his neck. But yeah, Overwatch, jump back in there, buddy.
Yeah, I just, anybody, so Charlie had a large, kind of organization going, a big gravy train. A lot of people were associated with it. And, you see this in business and corporate a lot. A leader or a manager will have a quote unquote following, and then that manager or leader will take a different tact that's going to be painful for people that are surrounding him, and you will see people turn against him for that, because the gravy train's going to be over, or changes are going to be implemented and they liked how it was. So, I wouldn't besmirch anybody, or, I don't know. But, like I said, after the disassembly of the stage and stuff, all the people around him and their associations and who they were dealing with, the FBI should be getting all that stuff, any communications, because if the attack Charlie was on, he was going to get the Nick Fuentes treatment, at least from, the Jewish folks, in short order. We've seen how they operate. So he was gonna, if he kept going down the path of noticing and truth that he was on, he was going to lose all that, at least in its current form, and he would probably have to, do something else, reinvent himself, find another network or whatever. And a lot of people that were riding that gravy train probably wouldn't like that very much, and probably would have been with some of the other people going, Charlie, why don't you just shut up about this? We got a good thing going here. You know what I'm talking about. You guys know people like that. So that's something they definitely should be looking into, because just a lot of suspicious activity and goofiness around that stage that absolutely should not have occurred. Even if law enforcement was crap and didn't quarantine it and all that stuff, we got to go tear down the stage. I don't get it. I mean, that would have been at a minimum the next day. Everybody would have been sent home, and we'll come back and we'll deal with this tomorrow or something. They just got right at it. So I'm suspicious it's very suspicious about that. I'll land it.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with this whole thing. It was not handled properly at all, and that's why when you see guys like Cash App Paddle sitting up there acting like he's the hero of the world when he did absolutely fuck all, it's really it makes you think. But yeah, there's a lot of people with a lot of eyes on this, and you know, in America we have a lot of military guys from the last 20 years of war, like straight war. We have millions of veterans in this country looking at these videos, and they know exactly what they're looking at. So we'll see. Most people think he was shot from the side, from what I'm looking at. And this kid, I don't know, this is strange now that he's saying he didn't do it. Just like the first guy they arrested, he said he did it, but then he said he didn't do it, you know, and then they let him go. So, I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't think they'll ever find the guy who actually did it, but I don't think.
And if I could do a little fact checking here, for Frank, your AI, because there's this whole story about how they met in New York City. She was a beauty queen, and they both met on a trip while she was in New York City and he was in New York City. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I kind of trust that story more than I trust the AI saying they met at the
I know. But just remember, Tyler Robinson didn't kill himself.
Yeah, he is on suicide watch also, supposedly, Tyler Robinson. So it's going to be interesting to see if they let him live or let his trainee boyfriend live, because you know, the trainee had insight of these details, as well as everyone else in that trainee group of 6 people. Apparently, after the shooting, he went and jumped on that subreddit and started talking to all of his trainee buddies, and he made the statement that my doppelganger did the shooting, someone that looked just like me. He didn't say I did it, and you think he would have, or maybe not Fed posting. I don't know. You think he would have been proud and boasting to his group of trainees, but he was basically making the statements that someone that looked just like me did it, and didn't make any other statements. It's so odd. It's so odd to see the transcripts of the supposed information that him and the trainees were talking about after the shooting happened, before he was arrested. Go ahead, Jim.
No, go ahead. Finish up. I think you're done.
No, I don't think. I think they're intentionally flooding the story with misinformation in order to help, to prevent the connections to the legitimate conspiracy theory path that people are going down. So they're just flooding. I mean, there's people that think that he wasn't even shot. This is all fake, and his body's not even dead. Those are fake hands. I mean, I'm not going down that path. It's just crazy that I think they're flooding this with false information in order to invalidate the truth.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, if they were looking to set this guy up from the very start, who the hell knows who was typing what? You have all the tech companies running out of Israel. It wouldn't be surprised if they had other information implanted there. So if they were planning on shooting the guy and framing the kid, they could go into his device and write whatever the hell they wanted to write out of his device. It's not impossible, and they're the ones controlling all that. All the software, everything goes through Israel. Everything's routed through Israel. They have access to all of it. So I mean, yeah, Overwatch. You probably know more about that. Go ahead.
Well, not specifically about 8200 and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I know that they have, that stuff going on over there for sure. But I think it's my opinion that because they failed to censor X, because we have X, because we have other platforms, because we could get the information out, because, like you said, we have 20 plus years of experienced combat vets who have seen all manner of wounds and injuries, with their own eyes, that they can't just, it's not like JFK. They can't just put out a narrative and there's no other tools at our disposal to investigate these narratives. So I think based on the last few events, what they've resolved themselves to do now is just so much distraction and bullshit out there all over the wall that if you can find the truth, it's going to take you a long time. And I think they hope that by the time you do figure it all out, it's really too late. Kind of like 9/11, right? We're figuring it all out, but we did the 20-year thing over there, killing people, right? So I think that's what they're reduced to, because we just have so many tools. I mean, we got aircraft tracker apps, we got all this stuff that we just find out instantly, and so they almost can't stop you from finding it. All they can do is misdirect you and keep you confused for some period of time, and I think that's where they're at right now.
Rush, did your plane tracker guy ever come up with any episode or any information on this?
No, he has not released an episode since Charlie Kirk died. I mean, so he wouldn't have released another episode till tonight anyway, so it'll be interesting to see if he released one tonight, but he missed last Thursday. And I was interested because he's going to track that flight that supposedly left that local airport and go to every airport it could have gone to, and then go from every airport from there where that could have gone to. I was looking forward to that information, but I have not seen that. Jared, you've had your hand up a bit. Jump in there, man.
Yeah, one thing that I thought was just incredibly odd when it came to this tranny roommate was, I don't know if y'all watched any of the TikTok videos that went around that he had made, but, he had something like 138 followers. It was like a pretty stereotypical, stupid-looking, random TikTok kind of guy that just made a few videos just because he thought it was funny. But yet the Krasenstein brothers follow him, and they've been pretty adamant about defending him, and even claiming that this whole thing, this was not a homosexual case, this was a heterosexual case because he was a transgender woman, whatever. And they've been, from what I've saw, decently active in trying to at least defend that part of it. And people have called him out on following him, but I mean, how odd is that? Like, you don't see these big name people, specifically Jewish type people like that, just following random bullcrap accounts. Otherwise, why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense. I'm curious if there's any sort of connection there, if anybody could find a connection there, just because I think it's odd. At a minimum, it's incredibly odd.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ed follows like over 200,000 people. He actually follows me in general. So I don't know if it's that outlandish that the guy's following him. Promoting that being in a relationship with another male that's a tranny isn't a homosexual relationship. That's pretty hilarious that they're trying to spread that lie. But supposedly there's interactions between Ed Krakenstein and the tranny. It'd be interesting to see if they release that information. Because the Krakensteins, we've had them come into this space. General made a great post about it yesterday, I believe. I'll have to throw that one up there. They came into this space. It was during the H-1B debates over the winter, before Trump was in office, really. And he came into this space to debate H-1Bs. Then after we beat him in the debate of H-1Bs and we don't need those people in this country, he's like, oh, well, that's a great point. We need universal basic income because AI and automation are taking all of our jobs. It was funny to watch him post that. But then following the day,
Jumbo.
Following that conversation, I mean, because he got obliterated in here debating us, and so he left the room. And that night, he went and typed in "white people who aren't going to exist anymore. Why does it matter anyways?" And he said that to us multiple times during the debate, trying to like egg us on, because he knew who we were. He was trying to get us to blow up and create a soundbite. But we pretty much just destroyed him that debate. And he hasn't really come back since then. It was pretty funny. But Rush, jump in there, man. Oh, sorry, John.
No, I was just gonna say that's the post, and that post went viral. Everybody picked up that post and was blasting Ed about it. So, yeah, it's Ed, typical Ed. I mean, he's nothing compared to. He's like a little teddy bear compared to dealing with like FBA Trey or these FBAs. It's like you're not gonna trigger people who deal. People go ahead, Overwatch.
Yeah, they just roam around like a roaring lion where they can subvert. You know, I don't know if they get paid to do that, if that's their mission, from the command center over there in the Middle East, or they just do it because that's their nature, because they're Jews. But if you most of us have known about them for a while, but that's all they do. They follow all these people. And they sit around and go, oh, here's a place where we can get in and subvert and cause hate and division and confusion and destruction for the country that we're over here parasiting off of. And that's just what they do. You know, they just come in and start crap. And they're just disgusting. You know, Craston's saying they're very crass. You can't make it up, right? I'll land it. I think Red had his hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Overwatch. So I have a few things. It might be controversial what I'm about to say, and I'm not trying to offend the movement that was Turning Point USA, but I believe that, and I kind of hope that if Ben Shapiro picks up TPSU, that people reject it. Not the movement of TPSU, but Ben Shapiro. That's the one thing. Another thing, there was a whole bunch of traffic at the furry, transgender, whatever the hell he is, kid's apartment in the month leading up to this event. Out-of-state license plates and shit. And then today, hosting Charlie's show will be JD Vance. So that's interesting and awkward in itself. Planeteer, Project Gideon, the technocratic takeover police state is here. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I saw that they didn't give it over to Ben Shapiro. They're going to have JD Vance run his show today, which shows that everybody's pushed back on this whole thing to not have a Jew come in and take it over has worked. But then we're going to just get JD Vance instead. You know, what are you going to do? If you look at Turning Point USA, where all its funding comes from, it was almost entirely funded by Israel and Jewish donors. So it's already kind of that. Charlie Kirk was trying to get away from that. Charlie Kirk was trying to get away from his donors. And yeah, we saw what happened there. But Jared, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on his donors, I read, and don't quote me on this number because I'm not going to say it's 100% accurate, but I've read that he had taken approximately $40 billion from Israeli donors towards Turning Point USA. And so it's no surprise who was kind of behind that, and it also really makes sense if he is starting to push back. I mean, if you've taken that much money from them and then start to push back, people don't like that. Now, what I have noticed is I put a video out yesterday talking about the whole Ben Shapiro thing and the interview on September 9th that they had, which was kind of an odd interview where Charlie says is it too far-fetched to believe that if the media's lied to us about everything, that they're also lying to us about Israel? And Ben Shapiro does his little eyebrow thing. I spoke on that, and I spoke on, I think it was the first public address that Ben has after Charlie's death. And he's immediately saying that he's ready and willing to go to these campuses, and he's ready and willing to take over Turning Point, and he's going to, fill in for Charlie. And the feedback that I received from it on through comments and such was, nobody wants this. Like, I didn't see anybody supporting Ben, and it's like, what? Does he even have a following as much anymore? Or maybe it's just the algorithm sending to people that don't necessarily like Ben. But it was very interesting to see all the people pushing back hard on Ben. And one of the things that I found interesting about him through the last decade was, 10 years ago, I was a decent Ben Shapiro fan before I woke up. But he was always a never Trumper up until the point at which Trump became fully Israel funded throughout this past election, and now he loves Trump, and that's his best friend. It seems like he's always pushing for Trump type things, and I think that creates an odd little conundrum.
Yeah, I have a post on that too, and I'll put it up. It reached over 500,000 views, and it has over 1,000 comments on it. It's up in the jumbo if you guys want to go through and read what people had to say about that. It's up in the jumbotron. So yeah, people weren't happy about that. Yeah, watch, and it goes back to Overwatch's point, by the way, of people that worked for him, people that funded him for his organization, and exactly what Overwatch was alluding to before. They wouldn't like that. But yeah, go ahead, Overwatch.
Who asked him? It reminds me of that. I think it's Luke 14:10, that verse. When you come in somewhere, you don't go sit at the top seat. You come in, you sit at the lower seat, and you wait to be invited up to the top seat. Just like the space. You come in here new to the space, you sit down in the tunnel, you listen. Eventually, you ask for a mic, you get it, and you're invited up. So for him to come out and just say, well, I'm inviting myself and I'm going to take it over, how Jewish, and how anti-Christian, who asked you? Did his wife call you and ask you to do that? He just invited himself. It's disgusting. I'll land it.
Yeah, but even to your previous point, there was a lot of, if he did take $42 billion from Run TP USA, then, and he started going in an opposite direction. Yeah.
100%. I mean, that's, I always talk about disappear levels of money. Well, that's when you start getting into the hundreds of millions and billions, they will make you go away. When you invent something or do something that affects an entire industry or an entire, let's say you invented free energy tomorrow. I mean, or you had the cure for cancer, or you're talking billions and billions of dollar industry, and they will make you go away. You literally have hundreds of thousands of people with millions of dollars invested that don't want their gravy train to go away. So yeah, it's very dangerous to take a lot of money like that you didn't, that someone's giving you, because that it's almost guaranteed that money's going to come with strings. Unfortunately, unless you build it yourself. And as you built it, you can guard against that. It's very dangerous. I'll land it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what direction they go in. I'm happy that Ben Shapiro wasn't able to take it over right off the bat, at least. putting J.D. Vance in there. At least, I mean, we know J.D. Vance is basically a Hindu, but at least he pretends to be Christian. Versus Ben Shapiro is just a full-blown Jew who hates Christians across the board.
Well, I know. I mean, we know nobody's perfect, including, if you look in Revelation as he goes through all those different types of churches, he finds fault in all of them. Hey, you do this stuff is good, but hey, you got a couple of things over here that you do that are goofy. Basically, I'm summarizing. But I believe Charlie was a Christian, and I wonder if J.D. Vance is. I'd like to see somebody stick a microphone in his face and ask him. Are you Christian? You believe in the Lord Jesus Christ? I'd just like to know either way. I'd good on the reporter that does that. I'll land it.
I was trying to see how much money he had donated to him from Israel, and because a lot of that information is open because it's public record. Being the type of charity that they are. So, I mean, to me, it looks like most of the money comes from ethnic Americans. I mean, none of these people have. There's one guy, Stephen A. Wynn, donates $450,000, and then right after that, the Cohen Clemenstein LLC, the Kleinsteins out of New York, they donate $450,000. So maybe it was just all small donations from the Steins and the Steens in order to fund his organization, but there's many grassroots investor donations from American names, in my opinion. Burt Rock, Eldner, Cates, Fuller, Johnson. I mean, those all sound like Americans to me. But the big donation, one of the two big donations in 2024 came from a Stein out of New York. So that is questionable. But Overwatch, yeah.
Well, maybe if what you're finding there's true, Rush, maybe that explains, the blowback for Shapiro, because most of his grassroots donors know, what's up. So maybe that was part of the blowback. I mean, I know we pushed back on it and stuff on X, but I don't think I don't think Ben Shapiro is going to be Charlie 2.0 or Charlie Light, and anybody that was a fan of Charlie in any form, shape, or fashion. So I don't know how they thought that was going to work. They're just so arrogant and stupid.
Well, I know it. Go ahead, Rush.
Well, I think they're still pushing it. I mean, because we saw Owen Shorter post yesterday. How are they going to replace Ben Shapiro? I mean, Charlie Kirk with Ben Shapiro, and then you have that misfit patriot homosexual, post to his MAGA crowd. Why would anyone be against this? They are pushing that propaganda.
Yeah, I can't stand that misfit patriot, guys. He's so nonsensical and goofy, man. It's weird. I just first time I came across him, didn't know anything about him. Like, that's a weird vibe. Picked it up immediately.
Real quick, I have a question. Did you guys see last night Harrison Smith posted a video where one of his Jewish friends' grandma gets a newsletter from the ADL, and it basically has, I don't want to say a hit list, but a list of people that are enemies of the ADL? Like, did anyone else see that video?
I think I know what you're talking about. They listed commentators or internet personalities that are, and they left. I guess they left Charlie off, and then they left somebody else off, and they were like, "Dang, I wanted to be included." Is that what you're referring to?
No, I think it was. I think it was like Harrison seems distraught. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with, Harrison. Obviously, I don't know the guy personally, but in the videos, the progression of the videos that he's been posting, and even in this show on InfoWars or American Journal, whatever, he just seems distraught over the last, since he broke the news that he confirmed that the gray zone staff and the other person, there was two separate people that confirmed Charlie was in fear for his life. And it recently came out within the last 24 hours that Trump is also in fear for his life from Israel. And that in the first meeting that Trump had with Netanyahu back in February, there was reports of electronic devices being stashed in the White House. So, but Harrison seems distraught. It was basically, like I said, it's not a hit list, but be on the lookout for this character or whatever you want to classify it.
This is nothing new. Like, you go and watch, like, they post about it on here. These guys brag about it. Like, I've seen Dan Blazarian brag about it. I've seen Jake Shields brag about it. I've seen Candace Owens brag about it. Nick Fuentes, like all these guys who are like the Jew guys. They're always on the list, and the Hodge twins were on there too. So like every month they put out this list of anti-Semite of the year and all this kind of stuff. So I mean, this is nothing new. This is very common for them to do this type of thing. But what I was gonna say before is Charlie took a lot of Jewish money to get his Turning Point USA started, and now that he has a bunch of different locations. Now he has a bunch of chapters. I think he has. It's a Christian organization. He has a lot of Christians giving him money now, and I don't think he really needs to. He didn't need to rely so much on his Jewish donors, and he was trying to get away from them. It really rocked the boat because the Jews were losing control over his organization. He had so many grassroots supporters at all his different chapters. He was trying to get away from his Jewish donors. That's why he was worried for his life, obviously. And Harrison Smith has another post on his page, if you look at it, where Benjamin Netanyahu is basically calling him out directly and saying, threatening him. So yeah, that's why Harrison Smith has been like, what the hell's going on? He's trying to connect the dots. And you got to remember, there was another guy who also was working for InfoWars that was murdered, 4 months ago or something like that. So, they're going after these guys. And it's not the Truny left. It's not the leftists who are going and killing these guys. I'll tell you that. It's not the Trunies. It's not the leftists. They can coerce these guys to maybe become the patsies, but they're not the guys running this to take these people out. Go ahead, Rush, or Watch, if you want to jump in there.
Well, I mean, we talked about that as far as they are the ones that are chosen to run it, type of thing. But I mean, the way they're setting things up as far as these patsies, we had that initial patsy, George Zim, who had connections to not only the Boston Marathon bombing, but also the 9/11. He was in a documentary about 9/11. And when you search Patsy, it's going to come up with him, and now that, this guy Tyler is denying that he was the shooter. I mean, isn't he kind of the patsy now? It's pretty odd. Then I I can't wait to see some of the ballistic evidence or some of the autopsy evidence from this. Because this guy's not going to get an honest trial. It's going to be very interesting to see how all this goes down.
Well, Austin is like the hornet's nest for, I know their studios and everything are down there. Alex Jones and all that, I think there's main studios in Austin, and with all this going on, it's different now. The ADL's been doing that. The general is 100% correct. But if people on that list start getting hit, that's going to put a spotlight on the ADL, big time. Because we got people getting killed now, and like you said, somebody killed, which was kind of weird, suspicious. I'm sure I don't know what they passed it off as, just robbery or some freak, some meth head, but for that team member they had down there shot. But I would not be living in Austin, because that is literally, like General says, they have captured Texas. They planted their woke flag in Austin, and the state. You see all the goofy stuff going in Texas. Well, that's because the capital's captured by wokies. So you can pretend like you're red all you want, but Austin has a huge effect on the rest of the state. And I would not be living there. And I think Owen recently in one of his things said he was considering moving, once he left InfoWars and stuff. But I would definitely not live in Austin. There's tons of these kind of people there, tons. And I would move out somewhere like you guys say, and if I had to drive in to do the show or something like that, maybe. But I would find a local sheriff that wasn't nuts and make sure I was well acquainted with him and vary my route. I'll land it.
Yeah, we never really talked a lot about the whole InfoWars breakup between Owen Shorter and Alex Jones. But the guy that was shot, that was Jamie White, and he was killed, a few months back. They just chalked it up as gang violence. They never found his murder. It's very odd. That guy got shot, and then they never really looked for his murder at a hard level. And supposedly he was saying stuff about Israel, and supposedly that was the huge disagreement between Owen Shorter and Alex Jones, because Owen Shorter was getting Nick Fuentes on the show, and they were talking about Israel, and then that one clip of Alex Jones coming in, and it's like so awkward, like he broke up the conversation, and it was basically, and then like degraded and made fun of himself for being afraid of talking about Israel. It was pretty odd. And then right after that, Owen Shorter quits InfoWars, he says he's quitting InfoWars to start his own thing. Alex Jones tries to make it seem like it was about money. But Owen Shorter actually kind of makes it seem like it's about, having the freedom to call out the people he wanted to call out. So it's kind of conflicting stories back and forth. But we all know that Alex Jones would refuse to call out Israel. It's almost a joke. Other than the clip of him yelling "Jew, Jew, Jew," it's almost running joke of how afraid Alex Jones is to talk about Israel.
I looked into the Jamie White murder, and yeah, it's true. Owen Shroyer is going hard now against Israel again, which is great. But I looked into that murder, and it may have just been a botched car robbery, because he did own a Kia. He was in Texas. Kias are one of the easiest to steal vehicles. And it does look like he was just trying to stop some guys from stealing his vehicle. They never, they found the vehicle later in a related incident. So, I don't hold any water in that, but who knows?
Yeah, when journalists are getting killed, it's a problem. And he lived in a decent area, I guess. So I don't know.
So Fitz messaged me on the back end. They did arrest some teens for killing Jamie White. They have two adults named Rodney Hill and Eloy Calamarone. So they sound very ethnically African. So they arrested those two adults and two teens, and all of them are connected for that murder. And that there hasn't been a trial date yet. So they haven't officially been charged, but I guess they have suspects, and they are chalking them to gang violence. Wouldn't a car robbery be considered gang violence?
I don't know. Who knows? Armed robbery. I don't know even what they would classify that as, but yeah, we'd have to look into it if we want to know. But the reality is, when somebody who works with you gets murdered a couple months ago, and then you have like a month before Charlie Kirk is assassinated, he posted out stating that Charlie was worried for his life. And now you have Benjamin Netanyahu making a statement that was essentially directed straight at Harrison Smith and threatening him. So, and it goes back to kind of what we were talking about yesterday, but look what they pushed through. I put it up in the Jumbotron we talked about yesterday, but they pushed a bill through Congress that would give Marco Rubio the ability to pull people's passports if they spoke against Israel. So yeah, there's a lot of they're taking advantage of this at every angle. They're the ones who are profiting off this. They're the ones who are getting what they want out of this assassination of Charlie Kirk. It's Israel. And they're hitting Congress while everyone's busy talking about Charlie Kirk. They're working hard in the background, getting as much of their garbage pushed through as possible. So I don't know. And this is the by the way, yesterday I brought it up on the show about, hang on just a second, about the universities. They're losing. They're damn near ready to lose their reputation. It's up there from Academia Else, and you guys should follow this account, Academia Else. The person who posts this, I know the person who runs this account, and they're really heavily connected into the university system, and they send me information all the time on the back end. They have a lot of great information what's going on in the universities and how they're freaking out. They have what was it, like 56% of their students are DEI students, 33.8% of them are Asians, 6.2 Pacific Islander, which might as well be Asian. And then it goes on and on. You can see 2.6% are trans, but they're getting ready to lose their qualifications or their accreditation at the school, at all these schools, because they can't get their students to pass. And again, there's 34% basically are Asians. So much for Asians being the high IQ smart ones, right? They're not there. But yeah, that's a great thread if you guys are interested in, from Academia Else. Yeah, Overwatch, go ahead, jump in there.
Yeah, I posted earlier in the Purple Pill, some of the stuff with all them taking advantage and going over there and kissing the wall and stuff that brought back some thoughts and stuff. And I went and found a screenshot there of the rules of the wall. So when you go to the wall, they make you, like, if you're not a Jew, they make you put on a yarmulke. They make you recite some prayer in Hebrew that you don't know what the hell you're saying unless you know Hebrew, and then with the little rabbi there, and then you can go up to the wall and touch the wall and pray on the wall or whatever you want to do. The men and women are separate, by the way. There's a divider. You can't, there's the women's side and the men's side, and they're separated. But yeah, read that little thing I put up there. You can't have your crosses out. You can't have your crucifix out. You got to hide that. You have to hide your Christianity to go up to the wall. So it's like it's almost like a humiliation ritual. I don't understand, why they, why everybody has to go kiss the wall, why they can't see it. I mean, I know Arkansas, like Huckabee and Sarah Huckabee and all them, but there's a huge, I guess, evangelical, group in Arkansas. But I mean, if you just look at it from 10,000 foot view, it's idol worship. I made a post with Elmo again on the wall. That's a great, whoever made that's awesome. But I'm like, so what is it? Is it like, explain it to me, evangelicals? Is it like a magic rabbit's foot? You go up there and you rub the wall, and your prayer is more power, more potent. Where is that? What are you doing? And I'd like a Huckabee or one of them to explain it to me, because it's just goofy. It's just idol worship. Just going up there, putting your hands and poking little notes in the cracks of the wall and all. I get it, but it's tradition, but it's not. I just don't understand it from a Christian perspective, why it's so important to them. It just seems like idol worship to me on its face. I'll land it.
Well, the other part is too what I saw yesterday, because Netanyahu, he bombed Qatar. Now Qatar is going to. It looks like they're looking to pull out of that Boeing deal with 150 billion. That's 250,000 jobs in America, by the way. And not only that, now Egypt and all the Arab countries are trying to make some type of coalition where they can all come together to defend themselves against Israel, that's a caliphate. Like, that's what Trump was trying to prevent this entire time, is trying to prevent these guys from all uniting together. And that's why we talked about this on the show many times. We set up the Middle East. Specifically, you'd have one country Shia, one country Sunni, one country Shia, and you kind of you break them all up. And what Netanyahu's done, he's broken those down. He attacked all the Shia, and he used our military to do it, to wipe out all the Shia countries. And what do you know? What did we call out, Rush? We called this out, I don't know, 8 months ago. They're going to collectivize now. Now they removed all those, that whole structure that we had in place. Netanyahu bombed all of it, and he destroyed the entire structure. And now they're collectivized. And now,
well, they're emboldened because of Iran bombed the shit out of them. All the Arab nations saw Iran pound the hell out of them, so that's emboldening. And the Samson option, they didn't nuke the world. They may still have that ability, but all the other Arabs saw that weakness. They see that as weakness, so they're emboldened.
Well, we called this out a long time ago. Watch, I don't know if you were around back then, but yeah, we said, that was the whole reason why we set up the Middle East the way we did. And Netanyahu's been going through systematically and removing one side while not really touching the other side. And what he's ended up doing is creating a situation, because Syria was mainly Shia, and then Yemen, Shia, and what's the other one right next to the Hezbollah guys? He's just basically removed all of those, and now it's just open season. They're gonna collectivize now. They're gonna create this union, just like we said they were gonna do it. And Israel's fucked. They screwed up this whole thing. They're too stupid. They didn't understand what they were doing. And now they're going to be a wasteland. If all those Muslim countries surrounding surrounding Israel are all Sunni Wahhabi countries, essentially. They're going to just, Israel's toast. They're done. And Israel did the work for them like a fucking idiot. So we told them, don't do it. Don't do it. We were having this conversation back when they were going at Syria, trying to remove, what's the guy's, Assad, Belashar, whatever his name is. We were telling them, if you remove it, this is going to be the outcome, and here it is. They're doing it now. So, yeah, Israel's pretty much, they've flattened themselves without even realizing, I guess. And they're hoping that we're going to run over there. And if they're threatening Trump and they're threatening all of the West, do you think Trump's going to be lining up to help these guys? Hell no. And like I said yesterday, Trump sits at the head of the most powerful military on the planet with some of the best intel. If he's worried about Netanyahu, just blast his ass. You know, if he's worried about these other countries trying to assassinate him, just wipe him out. No one gives a shit. Like, I just don't understand what the hell the game is with him. Why he's like, if he knows his life is at risk by these people, take him out. What are you waiting for? That's why we have special ops teams to deal with this kind of shit. I just don't understand why he's sitting there and just placating to these psychopaths, and he's worried for his life. Like, fucking use your power. Use your power. What the hell are you? What are you doing? What are you waiting for? Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, Overwatch. Go ahead.
Yeah, I forget the quote, but you know, it's, I don't know if it's from a movie or what, but I always remember it. You know, it says men are coming here to kill us. And the guy says, well, "What are we going to do?" And the guy says, "We're going to kill them first." You know, it's very simple when you pull all the bullshit layers of politics out of it. You know, go after them and then tell the people what happened. Be honest about it. Hey, we had to take this guy out. He's gonna kill me. You know. I don't know what they're afraid of, but yeah. So you know what's the plan? Israel's made its bed. Now it's got a lie in it. Is it expecting its political power over here to force Big Brother to come over there and fight another 20 years worth of wars, defending off its caliphate enemies coming against it? And is Marco Rubio simultaneously going to have our military over there fighting for India? I mean, all their pipe dreams. Who's going to go? I mean, I know everybody's enlisted now is in, but who's going to sign up for that? No, there's no public will to do that, and God forbid they try to pull some draft for that BS. You know, that'll tear this country apart in a heartbeat if they try to do something. No one has any interest after 20 years of fighting foreign wars to go do that stuff. Now, if the United States is attacked, I think people will fight, but I don't think we're going to buy the bait that, well, we have to go over there for 20 years because otherwise it'll come over here. I think people are going to be like, yeah, I'm good. Let them come over here. We'll take care of it. You know, I don't think that's going to work anymore.
Well, I think they're going to get us distracted by starting up a war with Mexico and Venezuela, and then once that war's up and established, and they start, you know, the draft underneath that war, then they'll spin it. Oh, the NATO needs support in the Eastern Front, and you know, Israel needs support in Iran, and then pull us into that global war unwittingly. In my opinion, that's how they'll do it. And we see the things increasing with NATO. Last week we had a Russian drone that supposedly went to Polish airspace and NATO aircraft shot it down. Now we had one that supposedly went in Romanian airspace, and the Romanian aircraft, you know, followed it back into the Ukraine and took the drone out over Ukraine airspace. And Russia says that NATO is actively involved in the war. I mean, we have been. We've been giving them them supplies from the very beginning of the war. We've been giving them troops through mercenary forces, but now it looks like we're giving them direct air support, and it's pretty crazy times. It does look like they are trying to push off that war. Just like we couldn't field an army here in America through a draft, they definitely won't be able to over in Europe. But just some news we saw the Hyundai factory get raided last week, and they arrested 500 illegals. The biggest illegal immigration bust of all times wasn't Hispanic Latinos. It somehow was South Koreans. But General made the point last week that those people were here as slave labor. They were holding their passports, forcing them to work. Indentured service, slavery, or whatever you want to call it. They're forcing those people to be here. And man, we're spot on, General, because now, because your decision was that. Your determination on that was because Trump offered to allow all of them to stay, but all of them turned down his offer, and they all returned to South Korea. Well, now South Korea is opening up human rights investigations against Hyundai in that factory that was here in the United States, because I guess those South Koreans were being held against their will. It's pretty crazy how you nailed that story, kind of ahead of the curve, because they just announced that investigation today. But hopefully we see some raids on some Hispanic facilities. I want to see some Tyson food, butcher facilities, some dairies, some agriculture, just some hotels. Let's raid it all. I'm so tired of this nitpicky stuff we're seeing from Trump. But Sonny, it's good to see you, man. Jump on in there.
Yeah, hi. How you doing? Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what the other guy said before about these constant visits to Jerusalem and the wall and all that. It's very, very concerning because it obviously impacts the person that goes there deeply psychologically. And there's something called Jerusalem syndrome. And anybody can Google it. There's lots of sources. If you just Google what is Jerusalem syndrome, is the NIH describes it as a psychotic state. Wikipedia says it's a series of or a group of mental phenomena involving the presence of religiously themed ideas or experiences that are triggered by a visit to the city of Jerusalem. And the HowStuffWorks.com says it's just like a psychotic episode triggered by being overwhelmed by impressions while visiting Jerusalem. Now, that is something that mostly happens to the average person who goes there as a tourist or whatever. But we have to consider the added factor that these Israeli officials, they are bringing these people there, our politicians, to deliberately expose them to probably more impressions than the average person has. And they've probably devised some kind of manipulative scheme for how to expose these people to exactly the impressions they want to expose them to, exactly the procedures and happenings that they want to imprint into these people. So I think it's actually a form of advanced brainwashing, or whatever you want to call it, MK Ultra programming. You know what I mean? They're literally being sent there, and they're pushed through this brainwashing process all the time, being told stuff like probably like this is where Jesus was walking around, all kinds of stuff, just to make them more pliable. And in the end, they're standing there kissing the wall, looking like an absolute shell of a man, and about to cry, and all this. So I'm deeply troubled by this, and I think it's basically a form of mind programming. Anyway, thanks. That's what I had.
Can I respond to that real quick? Sonny, I think you're overcomplicating it, overthinking it, man. I think it's simple. It's money and it's women. I mean, it's that simple. They honeypot these people, and they give them money.
Well, they do it in a bunch of different ways. It's not just honeypotting women. They have their hands all over the place. If honeypotting women don't work, Epstein got exposed. Charlie Kirk called out Epstein too for that exact same thing. He said he worked for Israel. If that doesn't work, then they'll go in and try to debank you, deplatform you, destroy your life. If that doesn't work, then they'll just put a bullet in your head. But yeah, go ahead, Overwatch.
Yeah, well, I think you're also oversimplifying it, because yeah, that's true. But like General said, there's a lot of different ways, and one of the main ways for evangelical Christians is they've already been cooked for decades in their own church over here. Like I said in some other spaces, Charlie believed that stuff. I believe that stuff. I used to be Charlie, and the indoctrination is so strong to worship Israel that you believe that stuff. So when you go over there, whether you're living over there, working over there, or you're on a tour, the first thing that you will be asked by Israelis, and they will see where you are. Do you believe in God? Do you what do you think about Israel? And if you spout out that mantra of, well, I believe they're God's chosen people, no further work on their part is necessary, because they know you're already cooked. They just lead you around by the nose and take photo ops with you, because you're already cooked. They don't need to blackmail you. You already believe they're God's chosen people. You're cooked. So the other thing I wanted to say to Rush about Hyundai is they have a big semiconductor up in Eugene, Oregon. I worked that plant back in the day, and I don't know too much about the Korean culture, but we had a big problem, Rush, when we got started up there. And we were doing the specialty gases and QA/QC to all the tools back then. And they would, how they have multiple production lines in the fab to make these wafers, and they're set up with each area, photolithography, ion implant, stuff, wet, dry, etch is set up with engineers over these areas. Well, these engineers, I don't know if it's their culture or what, but they run the numbers on their production rate, and they get bonuses, or at least they did back in the day, based on how good their production is. 90% success, 10% scrap. Well, they were having a huge problem there. One of the engineers his line was having problems. He would actually go over and hit the emergency shutdown on the other guy's tool and scrap all his wafers. This was a thing, and it was discussed quite a bit. And then he would go, well, now my production's above yours. And they had a big problem with that initially. And the reason it was a problem for us is because they would try to blame the supply gases and stuff and say, oh, you got a leak or you're causing scrap. And we'd have to go do helium leak checks and prove it wasn't us, and particle tests and all that stuff. But yeah, it's
because they go in there, they've done something shady, they've tried to get blackmail on these people, and then they'll say, you're not welcome here, and we'll arrest your ass if you come to our country.
Well, they did divert his plane, and I did grok that, and Grok said that was true. They because he was something about, what is the ICC or something, they were possibility of him getting arrested if he flew into certain zones or whatever, and I grokked it, and Grok said, yeah, that's true. He's going to have to use extra fuel and go a long way around, so he's becoming persona non grata.
saw the rest of Europe turn against Netanyahu over the weekend. They not only voted in the UN Assembly to make Palestine a recognized state, they also voted a two-state solution, which basically would dissolve Israel as Israel sees it and force them to give a region to Palestine. Does that mean that we can send the Palestinians back? Because America took on the brunt of all the Palestinians, and then Europe took the rest. I mean, there's a few thousand that went to Muslim countries.
No, yeah, that's the whole thing. I think that's why a lot of people in the West, they know who's responsible for this. Like the influencers online have done all the work to outline exactly who's responsible for all this. And again, Charlie Kirk, he openly called them out. He said, it is the Jews who are responsible for opening up our borders and flooding us and then pushing all this Marxist leftist ideology onto America. General Flynn made a big post about this yesterday, about how calls them the globalists. It's a globalist who's responsible for Charlie Kirk's death. And he went into the whole thing on it. And yeah, I mean, look who's running the universities. Look who's pushing the Marxist, communist, BS ideology. Look who's flooding us with all these enemies in our countries. It's the same people. So now they're calling them out, and it's not a surprise. They want to get rid of these people. Well, how do you do it? You say, okay, here's your state. Now get the F out. Go home. We gave you your state. Now get out. You know, that's the way you do it. So, yeah, hopefully they'll be able to push all these people up, but it's hard to get them to go. It's the same thing. Like, all the Syrians cried and cried and cried about Assad and how bad he was, and as soon as they got rid of him, then they start crying about the next guy. Oh, but this guy's bad too. Oh, and they just make as many excuses. There was one clip, I think it was in the UK, where they were cheering in the streets after Assad had went down and he was gone, and one of the local guys walked up and he said, oh, okay, so does this mean you guys are all going home now? And the young guy was like, no, I mean, this is an economic thing for us. We're not going to leave. So these people are going to have to be pushed out, even though, you know, they flee the country because this guy's bad. You get rid of the guy, and then they say, well, no, we're making good money here. The government has propped us up here. We don't want to leave. So at the end of the day, we're just going to have to push these people back to where they belong. They've been propped up so heavily by the government to have it on easy street. You know, they're all on social assistance while they're making money hand over fist. They don't want to leave. They're going to have to be forced out. And I think that should be the condition. If Palestine wants a state and they want their own state and they vote to give it to them, well, the condition is every single Palestinian who fled claiming refugee status, they all have to go back, every single one of them. And if they don't want to go back, then they don't have the right to a state. I think that's really the way they need to start handling these things, because it's just gotten so far out of control where these people don't want to leave once they get here. Say, okay, you fought for it, you wanted it, we're going to give it to you, but every single Palestinian who's in the West must return home. Otherwise, we're going to invalidate the state. We're not going to recognize the state. And we don't care if you got citizenship somewhere based on your refugee status and all this stuff. It doesn't matter. Every one of you has to return to Palestine. That's the only way that I would go along with that. We need to have some mechanism to push these people the hell out of our countries. And then you put it on their own people. You put it on their own people. You say it's up to you. You can either go back and establish your state, or you don't have a state. But Sonny, go ahead, jump in there.
Yeah, so I think that the basis for all these invading migrants, it's that they are fantastic liars. They are just, they all come with a big giant lie, and it could be anything. It's anything from, I was persecuted in my homeland because I was a homosexual, and then the first thing they do is like they rape 3 or 4 different women. So they were obviously never a homosexual. So they just come with all these lies, and they've all practiced and rehearsed a story. And a lot of the time, they will have applied for asylum in some other country, but they didn't get enough money. So then they decided to move on to your country because they thought they would get a better deal. That's why so it's funny that most of them will, for example, they will arrive by plane, and then mid-air, they'll go to the bathroom and destroy their passport. And then they'll say they're from an entirely different country than what they're actually from, for example. So if you look at, once you realize it's all based on a gigantic lie, and you look at how, for example, locusts operate. So locusts, they come in, they eat everything on an area of land, and then they move on when there's nothing left to eat, where they've consumed all the crops, everything that's there, And it's the same thing. These people come here to consume our tax money, our benefits, anything welfare that they are given for free. That's what they're here for. They're here for that. They're here to take the food out of the mouths of our children. And as long as they keep getting the financial benefits, they will not move on. It's going to have to become so unpleasant for them to stay here that they desire to move on. So basically, any financial benefit has to be switched off. And then, even then, a lot of them might not want to go home. They might turn to a life of crime or whatever. The problem then is going to be expelling them. Once enough of us decide we want to expel these people, if it's even possible by then, because they breed like rabbits and they might get the upper hand in any so-called democratic process. They might be outvoting us because they're outbreeding us. Well, just trying to send them home is going to be very difficult. They're going to start blasting about human rights and their anchor babies and separating families and no, and my children, and because the first thing they do is start plopping out kids. So we're going to come to a point where enough of us are going to have to realize there's no sending them back. So then the question becomes, what do we do? What do we do? Well, there's going to have to be, some kind of solution, like an internment camp. Like it's been done before. During the Second World War, they interned every Japanese person in America were put in a camp, for example. And nobody thought that was wrong in any way. Like the normal situation for a refugee or asylum situation, for example, during during and after the Second World War, there were Swedish children, Norwegian children that had been taken to other countries like Britain or I'm sure even some went to America, but they all went home. They all went home to Norway and Sweden. So why shouldn't these people go home? Well, my human rights and my anchor babies and all that. So there's going to have to be a willingness to be unpleasant, to not be nice to them, to not give them anything, leave them to starve, make them want to go, and if they don't want to go, they have to go to the camps. That's basically where we're going to end up.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to get a nicer name for them than camps. But yeah, it is the fact. That the invaders do not ever want to leave us, nor will they ever willingly leave us. I was listening to some of there were other spaces this weekend I was listening into, and even the ones that minimally call out the Jewish issue, they have a major issue with the invaders. Is this because the invaders don't want to leave? They may be able to call out how corrupt the U.S. government is. They call out how the U.S. government's controlled by Israel. But when it comes to the end of the day, they don't want to move back to their third world Muslim hellhole that they were born in. They've lived in the United States or Europe for so many years that they are. I've heard them say it before. I've been Westernized. You can't send me back to there. I've been Westernized, and it is the fact that they will never leave us willingly. Unless our nation does fall and we have an economic collapse or get invaded, that's when they'll leave willingly. Other than that, they're going to be forced to be remigrated back to their homeland. And throughout all the time of human history, where people have taken other people in for asylum, never did they, let's let you immigrate and integrate into our society. No, you allowed people to maybe stay in your lands for asylum, and then after the war was over, those people went back home. That is the point. All of these people need remigration and sent back home, and that really is kind of what the 14th Amendment is for us here in the United States. It is going to the Supreme Court to be reevaluated in the 1897 ruling of Wong, and anyone that could come here and plop out a kid as a U.S. citizen is going to be reviewed. It's going to be interesting how that is played retroactively. But here in America, we are kind of addressing that anchor baby issue. Because when you have someone here in asylum, they plop out a kid. Now that kid's an American citizen, and that kid can keep the parents here. We're kind of in that same conundrum here in America. But if we take away the citizenship from them, it would be a perfect pathway of denaturalizing people and sending them out of this country. And we've done it before here in America, and it's happened all throughout human history. That people make it seem like this is the first time that other people from other nations have invaded the land. It's human history, and we can easily undo it. It just takes a little bit of forcefulness and a little bit of motivation, and I think the American people are getting there. But Vaughn, Klaus, good to see you, buddy. Good morning. Jump in there.
Morning, Rush. Yeah, I had to recycle when I got called up before I couldn't hear anybody, so I went down. Yeah, you gotta make these people uncomfortable. We said this before. When you're out and about, I see more unfamiliar faces all the time. Definitely immigrants, invaders. I call them invaders. And the arrogance that these people have, you can just feel it. They're like parasites. And, I don't want to sound cliche, but what General says, make bullying great again. You got to make these people feel uncomfortable. Yes, you got to take away these entitlements. To this day, I still can't figure out what the benefit to these Democrats of letting these invaders flood in. I kind of have an idea, but I can't believe that these people who are empowered to protect our country and are sworn in to defend our country purposely let these people invade our country. To me, that's treasonous. I think they should pay for it. The thing with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I'm still not over it. I don't think I'm ever going to get over it. And it just shows you the left how the left, when you see these people with their ideologies, they're obviously dumb. I've never arguing a leftist point who I didn't see as either stupid or really misinformed. And, they're in these leftist echo chambers, and my sister's one of them. And, we used to argue fiercely. Now we don't talk about it. I just tell her, Susan, you're uninformed. And she gives me these facts that are total bullshit. I'm like, Susan, where do you get these facts from? And, we don't really talk about it much anymore. We kind of both sort of actually, she's come to my point more than I've come to her point. She, when I start telling her facts, she looks it up, and then she realizes that the facts that I'm telling her are true. And, I don't know if she double checks her own facts, but you got to make these people feel uncomfortable. Take away their entitlements. The people that are facilitating this, need to be held accountable. And as far as, I'm going to be careful what I say here, but with the death of Charlie Kirk, that has put the target on the back of a lot of other people. And I don't mean on our side. People need to watch their step because it can go kinetic. It only takes one spark to ignite a powder keg. And there's a lot of powder kegs sitting around. I'm one of them. A lot of people I know are them. And eventually you're not going to put up with it. And it's just that I wouldn't want to see it come to that. It's just, it could get ugly real quick. And I hope it doesn't have to come to that. I hope that we can find a way to quell it and squash it through political means and other means. But at this point, there's a lot of very, very pissed off people. And I'm one of them. And I think these people need to lay low, like the Ratchet Crockett's and the Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren and all these people really better watch their ass. And that's all. I'll land it there. Anybody want to comment on that? What are your feelings on that?
Well, I wanted to kind of say that I felt like right before the terrible event happened, we had this other terrible event with the Irina Sarutska murder, and we had like real momentum going on our side at the time. Like it was like for some reason this affected a lot of people, and it felt like people had enough. Like the fatigue had reached unfathomable levels, and people were just. I think we were literally close to having a spark set off, almost like a, the race war, whatever you want to call it. Something was about to happen, and then the Charlie, the other assassination happens, and it's like that spark is now redirected. So I almost felt like we almost lost some momentum. On the other hand, we gained momentum in another way, but I felt like we lost some of that momentum that I felt like, we'd really been missing that for a number of years. We've just been bending over and taking it, and I felt like it was really time that we were going to something was going to happen now,
Yeah, I noticed the same thing. It sucked the oxygen out of the room, but I'm starting to see some people circle back to it now that now that this has had some time. So I'm hoping that spark won't die, that ember won't die, and because it's that's out of hand as well. Like the other guy said, there's so many powder cakes laying around, and that was one of them. That really lit off. But we need to go back and rekindle that and force that discussion. We need to have that discussion. Like Rush and General always said, nobody voted for where we are now. They did it with fraud and lies and deception and bayonets to the backs. And we need to politically not stand for it at this point, and keep pushing on that and not lose that momentum.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing the case of the woman stabbed on the train in Charlotte, North Carolina. That case is resurfacing. People are talking about it over and over again. Actually, Stephen Miller posted the photo of her trying to invoke people's attention to it. I mean, I don't think she is going to be forgotten. I've seen many vigils that have her and Charlie Kirk next to each other. I mean, it is the global homo that killed her. I mean, she should have been safe in Ukraine on a train in her homogenous society, where she probably nonchalantly just went and sat down on a train hundreds of times in her own host country, and then thought that she could safely do that in America because she was brainwashed with the multiculturalism and she was a victim of it. That was a horrible graphic incident, and many people think that story, as well as the Charlie Kirk story, were false flags and completely orchestrated in order to try to, spin up some kind of civil war in America. I mean, to me, that's just hilarious logic. I mean, why would they do both of them at the same time? Because the arena story got completely wiped out by Charlie Kirk, like you're saying. But there are people that are bringing it back up, and not, we're bringing it up here daily. I mean, we can't let it be ignored. I mean, it was horrible what happened to that woman. And the only reason anyone's talking, this happens in America every day, twice a day. The only reason anyone's talking about this Ukrainian woman is because it was caught on video. For the first 3 weeks of her death, no one cared. It went nowhere because the video wasn't released. And as soon as the very graphic video was released, that's what spun up that rage, and America, is gonna need to start having these discussions of what is an American and focus on our identity, as well as every other European nation. I mean, it should be much, America, Australia, Canada, they have us completely brainwashed, but it shouldn't be very hard for the countries of Europe to say, we are a nation of people, of customs, ideals, of lineage. Why are we allowing our people to be completely wiped out by the third world? I don't understand how they've brainwashed you guys. Like, oh, we brought the world's civilization and advanced technologies and agriculture through the evil colonialism. So now we must allow our host nations to be invaded by the global homo. I mean, places like Ireland, even, that never even colonized anyone. They're still invading them, pushing DEI policies on them, and it's insane how powerful their brainwash is. But the American people are waking up to this, and we are seeing that shift. Is it going to be fast enough to actually, put up a stop to the global homo before they implement the 15 cities and the arrest you for your thought crime laws? It's looking like it's coming down to the wire here, guys. Because we had a lot of thought crime laws passed, last week here in America, and they're trying to add more. So it'll be interesting to see, where all this goes. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, it's kind of all connected. It all ties back to the same thing. But Overwatch, jump back in the road.
Well, what's the latest on the animal that killed that girl? I heard like he was going to be let out for evaluation by yet another.
Yeah, he's in a mental health facility for the next 98 days. He's been in there for like 2 days now. Which is, people were posting photos of it. It's like this very nice, relaxed atmosphere with couches and there's obviously insane people running around. But it's going to be him sitting there for the next 98 days, trying to fake that he's insane. And you heard him already try to build up that argument with his sister in the telephone call, saying, "Oh, well, the elements in the metals in my body, they made me stab that woman. They told me I had to stab her." So now he's being evaluated in this mental health facility. I mean, I just don't understand why that matters. If you're insane and you kill someone, you still should face the ramifications. The temporary insanity or insanity clause, I mean, it's retarded. I mean, if you're insane and you commit a capital murder, then you should be put to death. I mean, I don't understand why that's such a crazy, evil concept to have. But it's insane that it's insane that this guy may evade the death penalty because of this stupid insanity clause, and I hope that the doctors in that facility and the judge don't fall for it, because he knew exactly, as soon as he stabbed that woman, it was like an impulse reaction. They hate us. I mean, when it comes down to it, I think he he just reached that point of hate and saw an easy victim and stabbed that woman. I mean, because he walked right by white males that he could have attacked, but he specifically didn't attack those guys. He knew that he was in the wrong by stabbing her, and he had this response of, "Oh, well, she called me nigger, or she called me the N-word," and started defending himself to the other blacks that were on the train. And now it's the poisons that were in his body. I mean, it's insane that people are falling for the judge is forced to go along with it. I mean, we have the video. She didn't call him anything, even though that was his first offense, and now he's gone to this insanity defense. And we're forced to fall through with the system. I mean, this should make people even more outraged about the murder of this woman. It just shows the judicial system that arrests this guy 14 times is continuing to fail our system. But yeah, Overwatch, jump in there, and then
I just wanted to respond, Rush. Great facts there. But again, the reason that story has touched so many people is because it has everything. It ties into this these judges and stuff that we've got, either stupidly elected or installed, and yet here's another one. We already had the lady, that let him out, and now this other, I think this is a guy, just scanning, these people, I'm not trying to fed jacket. I'm not saying you should harass judges or anything like that, but you certainly have a right to freedom of speech if you see these people at the grocery store to say, "Hey, man, you did wickedness. You did, that's an evil thing you did, letting that monster out, and you should be able to call him out and use your First Amendment and shame him in public." If that guy lived on my street, every time I walked by and saw him out, I'd give him an earful. Or her, or whatever, every time. And they need to, these trials are public. They need to, a lot of times they don't put the judge's name out there with these wicked, retarded rulings. You have to go Google it, look it up. They cover for them. And they live somewhere, and they should be shamed. If you do a disgusting, wicked, nonsensical, bought and paid for ruling, you should be ridiculed. You should have to face the public, and they should be able to tell you what they think. I think you're a horrible human being every time they see you, and make bullying great again. I'll land it.
I just wanted to jump in and add to Rush's comment. Rush's point actually is that on average it costs $1,000 a day to keep somebody in one of the types of facilities, a mental health. So it's costing $1,000 a day, up to $365,000. That's average. It can be up to $2,000 a day, but the average is $1,000 a day to keep somebody in one of those facilities.
Yeah, I mean, this could be solved very quickly, and people complain about lynchings of history. I mean, that's the reason that stuff happens, because the judges and stuff were rolling their feet, and people would just show up to the door of the jail and demand for the person, and they'd handle it themselves. I mean, people think that, I mean, it's just, and 20% of people lynched were white people. I mean, it's just a historical fact of America. But Brock, really good to see you, buddy. Good morning. Jump in there.
I wanted to add to that point, and maybe Von Clausewitz can also add some more information based on your experience in law enforcement. But so what's going to happen here is there's going to be a pretrial hearing, and they're going to decide whether or not he's mentally competent to stand trial. And the only reason they're throwing him in a mental health facility right now is to conceal and cover up all the corruption regarding the prosecutors and judges who allowed him to be free in the first place. That's their only concern right now. And so it's interesting also, Von Clausewitz, you mentioned the money part. They're going to try and memory hold this as much as possible. I'll yield.
Yeah, I was right before you said that. I was thinking the same thing. They're going to try to push this, that he's the issues that they created by letting him out. And I know mental health defense, it goes by state. There are different provisions under the titles of the criminal titles in each state. But yeah, you can see obviously that's the direction that they're going. And I think the people that let him out and failed the public, by letting them out, should be held accountable. I think there should be some way, not only by voting them out, but there should be some kind of against them one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, we start holding these doctors accountable. It'll solve a lot of problems. I mean, that's exactly what we have to do: is start holding these people accountable.
Yeah. One other thing I had with the judicial system in Pennsylvania, and I think it's the same in the state where that occurred. I think it was South Carolina or North Carolina. South Carolina. Charlotte. Anyway, in our state, the local judges, they're called magistrates. They don't even have to have a law degree. They're an elected position. They don't have to be members of the Bar Association, which I think is incredibly ridiculous. And there's actually a movie, I don't know if anybody ever saw Nothing But Trouble. It was, I thought it was a great movie, but it kind of is a mockery of the Pennsylvania judicial system. The Reeve, they called him the Reeve, who was Dan Aykroyd, was actually a magistrate, and they kind of made him, they didn't directly do it, but indirectly made a mockery of the Pennsylvania judicial system, and being that he's not an actual judge, he's just an elected position. And they're the foundation of the legal system. They handle small claims courts. They handle all preliminary hearings for all criminal matters as well. So yeah, that's just something to look at as well, and something to consider, that you have a lot of these local magistrates that are not even members of the Bar Association.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes on all across America, not only in Pennsylvania. But you in country, good morning, buddy. Good to see you. Jump in there. All right. Oh, there he is.
Good morning, guys. I'm sorry, man. I'm back in the welding shop again. It's too much sound. Y'all kick me. But the work man's over there watching me. I got to take it easy. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing this great family. And I was wondering, I agree, y'all are dead on. All of y'all are dead on. These people, that's our enemy. We listen to political power because we love it.
I'm having a lot of difficulty hearing you, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. Well, what do y'all know about the black schools? The black schools not going to school. Can anybody tell me about that?
Sorry, man. Something about black schools. I'm not sure of exactly what you said there. It was very difficult to hear you in country. I'm sorry, man. There's a lot of background noise that's coming through. But I mean, they've forced us by gunpoint from assembling in our own schools, and then at the same time they allowed they fully funded and continued to fund foundational black colleges above other universities. I mean, they make the comment that you can go to a foundational black college as a non black American, but have fun being very uncomfortable being the minority of less than 5% of that school, just the fact that segregation and having the right to assimilation is fine for them, but it's not fine for ethnic Americans. It is frustrating in that sense, but people are waking up to this. I mean, it looks like the RTL thing has been kind of widely accepted, and it does seem that Americans are getting their right to assimilation back. Not sure if that's what your question was, but Mud, good morning, buddy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but look, I threw a message down there in the purple pill. That was my question, that HBCUs and all. So sorry about all the noise, y'all. But if you can read that question and answer that, please.
Yeah. I'll find it. While I'm finding it, jump in there, Mud. Go ahead, buddy.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good to see you. So a couple points. The media and even the administration gave them the plea. right? Calling him crazy from jump. I saw it coming long before the plea was ever given. Okay? So there's that. And not only that, we didn't even hear about this till 3 weeks after the fact. And the last point I'd like to make, you know how many other women and white men have been killed, stabbed, and otherwise since, before, during, and after, for the weeks that have gone by, that have gone unreported completely? You gotta ask yourself, why this one? This is all kosher theater. This is meant. Now you've got actual Jews advocating for whites and saying, revolution. Yeah, they're trying to goad us. Manufacture some kind of kinetic action from us. This is fake and gay, and I'm just so tired of all of it, man. It's just, what's next? But, other than that, the whole Charlie thing, even all of that, I mean, the mental gymnastics that anyone has to have to go from, and I'm talking everyone on the right, I include myself in the right, I'm conservative, but here's the thing. Wasn't it not that long ago we vehemently did not trust the CIA or the FBI? Well, why is it then all of a sudden the first utterance of this entity that we despise, we believe? What? And they make it unbelievable. Like, entirely. So, and I won't even go over and belabor all of the points. Been doing that for the last couple of days. It's unnecessary. No. My overall view on all of it, fake and gay. We don't have the real story. We don't have the real shooter. We don't have the real shit. None of it. Meanwhile, tons of us are still getting slaughtered. So keep your head on a swivel. One good news, I believe the Supreme Court outlawed any permitting needed for open carry. So that's a big win. Yeah, I mean, you can't trust any of these people, right? You just need to have your own agency, be aware of your surroundings, and pray you don't have to take care of business, but do so if you have to, right? And that's what we have to do. We're under attack, and nobody's here to help us, despite them saying so. So, but we'll win in the end. One way or another, we'll win. I mean, we've through history, we've gotten out of worse predicaments. We'll get out of this one. So, God bless America, and God bless you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, bud. I mean, if I could kick back just a little bit there, I mean, I agree that these interracial murders happen twice a day, every single day in America, and they go unreported 99% of the time. And you ask why this woman, why this time? It's because it was caught on high definition camera with multiple camera angles. Mud, that's to me, that's the only reason anyone's talking about this. If that video of her being blatantly murdered on the train didn't exist, this would be chalked up just like those 99% of cases that no one talks about. Even before they released the full video, the video of that they stopped and edited was just so graphic of him murdering her. And then to me, the one after, when they released the full video, not only him murdering her, but the callous and just nonchalant caring of all the other people standing around. I mean, just reiterated the fact that these people hate us, and I think it's encouraging. We need more Americans to be awakened to this issue, and we need to wake up our people. And this video really does do that. And if you really think it's an orchestrated attack, why would they? It was a design plan, and this is all just fake and gay, and they just made it up. Why wouldn't they make this up midsummer during the summer of riots and release this video in July? Why would they release it 3 days before they released the Charlie Kirk murder believers and just have one false flag step over another false flag. It doesn't make any sense logically.
Let me correct my stance. Let me correct my position. The faking gay part is the story we're getting from Charlie. Her murder, I don't know. I'm on the fence on that. I'm not saying that was faking gay, but I've got my feet.
No, you said that Israel's pushing a race war.
Well, they are clearly, but let me finish though. As far as recorded or videoed incidents, my feed's full of them, right? I mean, from the JQ, I got a lot of 1488ers that follow me, and I get shit. I mean, constantly.
As graphic as her stab.
Picking up in 4K these heinous crimes, from stabbings to beatings to you name it, all the time, that never make the news but somehow make my feed. So it's not that it was just on camera. No, there's more to this than that. I smell it. I feel it with every ounce of my being.
Why would Israel want white people all of a sudden to get racial identity? Why would that be their goal out of nowhere? Because it's not going to lead well for them. I mean, just this logic behind this, it's coping. It's the same people that say the Charlie Kirk thing is fake.
They're calling for civil war. They're calling for martial law. It's so obvious to see.
Well, I mean, Trump already enacted the 1798 Aliens Enemy Act that authorized him to bring U.S. forces into the thing. He doesn't need martial law to enact that, and he could bring the troops right to the doorstep. I just don't see how making people racially aware, waking up the average ethnic American, it's not a negative thing. I mean, it's exactly what we need. We need to shift that Overton window further to the right and wake up our people.
I agree. And I don't mean it's negative. I don't mean that it's a negative thing. That's not how I mean that. Two things can be true at once. That's all. But I mean, we can agree to disagree. That's okay. I just see this all being as fomenting more anger, trying to push a civil war, trying to push us to do something we ordinarily wouldn't do. And they're going to fail at it because that's not how well-behaved men behave. And they're never going to goad us to do this. They're going to fail in their efforts. But it is clear they want to foment and push a civil war, some kind of civil unrest, just push us to do something, and so that they can foment the next step. I mean, that's clear they want to do that. Now, they're going to be successful with it? I pray not. I don't think so. Men like us won't do that. But, as far as their desire to do so, they say so out loud. It's hard to miss. And so, but I'll just land there, man. Love you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the Civil War is all the rhetoric that they're pushing about the Charlie Kirk murder. I mean, they really are bolstering the leftist voices, and you see it in the algorithms. Anyone that criticizes them, they're like shoving it down your throat to try to enrage you. But I mean, as far as trying, people becoming racially aware, I mean, that's something that needs to happen in this country. People have to have an identity around their people, and this multiculturalism, we can all live in harmony together. I mean, they push that. That's part of the clergy plan. I mean, they're 1,000% behind the flooding of all Western nations, and this thought that we all need a kumbaya and come together, and we need to align together, and we all of us need a kumbaya to get rid of Israel, and then all the Muslims and the Somalians and all those people that invade you, they're all just going to go home. No, that's not what any of those people are saying. They all want to stay here amongst us, and I constantly hear that. I heard it yesterday, and it's just so frustrating to see people that are awakened to the Jewish problem, and then they're all pushing this multiculturalism kumbaya lie to us. I mean, that is the Jewish problem, and it's not a psyops. It's very real. I apologize, guys. It's full. I'm going to try to get you up here in a second, Soika. But Frankie, good to see you, buddy. Jump in there. Or Frankie might have come up by accident. I apologize. I got my dogs going nuts in the background. But I mean, I just think we need to come together, as Americans and as our people. Those are the only people we need. Those are the only people we need to wake up and change and win the hearts and minds of. You're never going to convince the invader to stop invading you. We're going to have to force all those Somalians, all those Haitians, all of those Middle Easterners, Syrians, Afghans, Iraqis. We're going to have to force all those people to go home to their countries because they have invaded us for Israel. and I don't need those people's support in order to wake up my people. But if Frankie's not there, jump in there, True Magger. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, some weird thing I heard is probably fake, but did you hear that there was a picture of her hugging the guy? The black guy in blonde?
Generated. Do you see the picture? It's so retarded.
Okay. That's what I thought. That's not what I was going to talk about, but I just heard that. I knew you had something to say about that, but then I heard that, like, Pelosi is trying to use that as, like, X is dangerous. You guys got to calm down what you're saying and shit. So I thought it was about that angle, like trying to go after us for like talking out or something. But I could be wrong. I didn't even really concentrate on that too much. I want to talk about Charlie a little bit. Think about how nervous you'd be if you're the one that's going to do this, right? You're going to climb up this roof, which is right next to Charlie. So they have no security around there. They have no alarms. They're not watching the roof at all. Okay, then there's two sets of clothes on the guy. You see him in two different color clothes on top of the roof. Okay, I'm just going to bring up some weird things here. So the shooter, he executes the plan perfectly, escapes, and then he goes home and he tells on himself to everybody. What the hell? That's weird as it is. The grandmother is contradicting the family is another thing that's weird.
He's not confessing, by the way. He says he's not confessing. He's pleading not guilty. So, yeah. Supposedly he changed 3 times. He took the gun apart, put it back together. When you need tools and a vise, it's all laughable.
Right, and then they expect us to believe this narrative, or we're the conspiracy theorists, his backpack, like you said, and all these clips. Like, you see the clips, but where's the full clip? We want to see the full clip, not just this little clip of him jumping off the roof. And there's like a whole team of guys running back there in army suits behind the building. Did you see that? Right when he jumps off the roof, these guys in like army suits are running back and forth, way in the background, not way in the background, like behind the building he's jumping off. Like, they're confused and what the hell's going on. And they don't notice him at all. They're not even caring about him. He's jumping off and they're doing their own thing back there. There's a bunch of weird shit about this. And I think that's about it. Just all the clips and
you can't forget about George Zim. He gave him he had a supporting cast.
Yeah. We mentioned George Zim and all of his odd connections this morning. It's rifled with Israel influence, in my opinion. And it needs to wake up America, but at the same time, MAGA is just buying hook, line, and sinker to the narrative that this was a transgender, lover that got radicalized online, just a good old college student, and the evil online radicalized him. This is exactly what they're going to use to try to take our rights away. They don't need to falsify a video of a Ukrainian woman getting stabbed on the bus by a black guy. They're going to use this as a catalyst. Trump's in power. MAGA supports Trump. Trump is going to enact these laws to get these evil transgenders offline that are committing all these crimes, shooting up Catholic schools of kids, killing Charlie Kirk. They're all being radicalized online. We need to enact these laws in order to protect our children. That's the exact brainwashing they're going to push. That is the ploy. And I don't understand the 7D chess that are, the arena thing was a thing. And it just doesn't make sense why they would enact two false flags back to back like that. One that erases the other one. But Soika, good morning, buddy. Good to see you. Jump on in there. I'm not sure how much time you have.
Yeah, I'm gonna be getting ready here for work. I gotta get a late start today. I just wanted to say the idea that we need to come together and that they want us to fight a civil war. They do not want us to fight a civil war. They want us going peacefully. They want us dying slowly because we've been dying slowly. We've been paying for other people to have children. We house them. We educate them. We pay for their medical. And then when they get a job, as gentlemen,
your mic's coming in pretty bad, so we can just say this.
Can you hear me now?
Yep,
better.
Yep.
Okay. So, you know, we pay for their housing, we pay for their clothing, we pay for their education, their health care, all these other things. And that allows them to get a fresh start in America, an advantage in America for their first generation, right? They get this first generation jump, and then they have a bunch of kids. While we're suffering, trying to pay our mortgage, interest rates are super high, inflation's killing us, we're not getting raises at our jobs to fight off inflation, stopping the white population from having kids and securing resources to have kids in the future and securing resources to live similar lives that our parents lived and our grandparents lived. That's what this is about. We're not getting the opportunity to live those same lives, so we are having less children. So by not fighting back, right, by not fighting back, by not having a civil war, by not having a revolution in this country, we are doing exactly what they want. We're dying off slowly. We're slowly not having children. We're letting more and more foreigners in. We're not closing our borders. We're playing kumbaya. They want us to say that they want us to have a civil war. They want us to think that there's some sort of 5D chess going on where the civil war and the race war, that's the thing that they want. No, that's the thing they don't want, because we're gonna fucking win all of those things. If there's a civil war, it's gonna be the fucking American that's gonna win. It's not gonna be the foreign invaders with the fucking, with no ability to fucking shoot a rifle and have no access to resources and farming, who can't take care of themselves. It's not them who's gonna win. It's not going to be people who are 6% of the population who carry switches and gangbang in cities and depend on every single resource that Americans create to exist. Okay, it's not going to be them. They know this. They don't want a civil war. That's why after they shoot Charlie, they demand, they beg and plead. They go on talk show after talk show talking about, wow, this really needs to calm down. Because the same people that are in charge of the late shows and the Fox News channels are pumping this rhetoric out into the Twitter sphere and all the social media platforms now. Hey, why don't we all the best cooler heads can prevail. We can all calm down now that Charlie got shot. Fuck no, I'm not calming down. I'm not calming down. Our political rivals, right? Our enemies are inside our borders, taking shots at normal working class Americans like Charlie who debate on stages. He's not a warrior. He doesn't carry a gun. He talks to students. And guess what? Charlie Kirk was every person in this room. Every person in this room. My face is on this app. There's no doubt about it. People could come and fucking politically assassinate me for what I say in these spaces. There's no doubt about it. Someone could say, I don't like that Soika guy. Where is he from? Where does he work? Where is he? What does he do? I want to get him fired or shoot him in the face. Because I think that someone's taking over my country and they're making me pay for the takeover of my country. And someone might not like that very much. So when people say, well, what do you think we should do, Chris? I think we need to do what the general suggested multiple times. And I had agreed with this in my heart for years. You need to militarize. You need to form militias. You need to play politics. You need to get your people in power. You need to get close with your sheriffs. You need to get close with your FBI. You need to take over your FBI, not have Cash App or whatever this goofy fucking Indian guy is, because he's not giving us the truth from the Charlie case.
He's not doing anything. He's a puppet. You can tell he's a puppet, and he has no connection to Trump. He's doing what they tell him to do, and Trump has already came out and said he's terrified of Israel. And look what happened to Charlie. The second you question the Israel shit, Charlie questioned Israel. Charlie pushed back on Israel. Charlie pushed back on Iran, and Trump disavowed Charlie. And then a month and a half, 2 months later, Charlie was dead. Because Trump knew. Trump knows better than to touch Israel, than to say anything about Israel. He's had 2 bullets, a bullet fly at him once, and he's had a guy hiding in the bushes at the golf course another time. This is what we're up against. And it's not that Trump doesn't, it's not that Trump doesn't have the balls. Trump doesn't have the backing. He doesn't have the infrastructure. He doesn't have the militias. He doesn't have armies of hardworking men and militant men in the country where he can fight back. He's got a bunch of people who signed up for the military who are like, okay, I'm kind of right-leaning, but I'm just an 18-year-old, 20-year-old kid, 24-year-old kid. I don't really know why I'd be fighting here, but I'm just going to follow orders. Men like us know why we're fighting. Men like us know why we're doing what we're doing. We have a purpose. These kids in the military are just following orders. A lot of them don't believe what we believe because it's a job to them. Hell, we have family in the military. Hell, there's families in the military, and they don't believe anything about Israel. They don't believe they don't even like talking about Israel. Israel can do no wrong. That's who the military is, because they're told not to touch the subject. Okay? That's how infiltrated it is. It's people are terrified of touching that subject. Military people won't even say we should fight back against Israel because they'll get fired. We've seen multiple instances where people have mentioned if they bring up they don't support Israel and Israel's not our ally and they're doing terrible things, they get kicked out of the military at their officer post. Officers in the military get told you need to go away because you don't support Israel. That's how dangerous the situation is for this country. And we need to fight back against the people who they're flooding into our borders. They don't want us fighting back. They don't want physical violence or war because they know we will win at this point. They need another 15, 20 years to disarm us and to make us a bunch of libtards. They need to push propaganda in Marxism and cultural Marxism and LGBTQ shit in universities for another 20 years. And guess who was stopping that? Charlie. Charlie was stopping that. Charlie was getting kids on campus wearing MAGA hats. Charlie was getting the youth to turn away from its blue roots. So that's what they really need. They need time. They need time to keep pushing this fucking gay agenda. And they're going to push Ben Shapiro out, some Israel first goofball Mossad agent, into the college campuses to keep this going. And guess what? Nobody wants to hear Ben Shapiro talk. So you're slowly gonna get a move back to the blue. You're gonna get slowly a move back to the Democratic Party and socialism. And guess what? That's exactly where Ben Shapiro wants people. That's exactly where Mossad wants people. That's exactly where Israel and these Marxist, Bolshevik, Jewish dudes want people because they pay for this. Charlie called that out. He said every cultural Marxist, left-wing nutbag ideology is backed by prominent Jewish members of society with massive wealth. Why? Because it divides us. It makes us weak. And it opens our borders to people who will vote for more of it. It's sickening. And if we don't fight back, we're going to die. We're going to die slow. We're going to die poor. They're extracting the value of our resources by printing infinite amounts of money. There are ways to beat it. It's a fucking giant chess match. Trust me. I'm invested in gold and silver mines. They're doing extremely well. But what works for me and what you guys are going to be able to understand or capable of understanding with your finance degrees are two different things. You guys might think I'm blowing smoke up your ass. You guys might think, oh, this guy just got lucky or whatever. But this is thousands of hours of study. These people are literally printing away your wealth. They're printing away every dollar value that you work for every second of the day. You guys want to talk about, you've got the minimum wage was $7.25 and you're making $40 an hour or $50 an hour. Let's just put it this way. The American dollar has lost 99.5% of its purchasing power now. So all of those dollars took a 90, they're worth a penny. You're literally working. If you're making $50 an hour, you're making 50 cents an hour. That's literally nothing. That's nothing. That's the equivalent.
Yeah, and that's the other point there too is, look, this is the problem with people coming in there and saying like, oh, they want this, they want that. Yeah, of course, there are some people that want you to sit around and do nothing, and then there's other demographics who want a civil war, and they all have their own plans. It's not just one boogeyman, and that's the entire point. We've said this a million times on this show. It's not just one entity. You have a bunch of different entities that all want different things. So yeah, you will have some people that want, to accelerate things. You'll have some people who don't want to accept. They want to wait. They want time. The question is screw what everyone else wants. What do we want? What does America need? That's the whole thing. As long as you're playing other people's game, as long as you're sitting there saying, oh, they want this, they want that. F what they want. What do you want? What do we want? What do Americans want? Do we want to be invaded for the rest of eternity by the international global homo bankers? Is that what we want? Because that's what we're getting. Do we want to push back? Do we want to get these people the hell out of our country? Do we want to take our country back? Do we want to take our financial systems back? Or do we want to just keep playing their game? At the end of the day, I mean, that's the problem. Everyone's so worried about, well, they want this. Well, they want that. Oh, they're going to have civil war. Why would you have a civil war? Well, why would you go out and fight each other when you can go straight to the people who are causing the problem? Like, don't you think people would do that before they went to civil war? We have guys come in here that talk about universal basic income, and they're like, well, don't go after the top guys. Don't go after the elites. That's what they're worried about. And then you have other people worried about all this human trafficking and slaves coming into our country, like the Hyundai plant. All these that's Hyundai. That's a major corporation. It's an international corporation, and they're holding these people as slaves in the United States as slave labor. We called it out. We openly stated this, and now I guess Rush said they have a lawsuit against them because they were holding these people as slaves in the country. It's obvious. It's extremely obvious. All these things are so in your face, but everybody's too worried about, oh, what's happening there? What's happening? Oh, I can't say this. I can't say that. What are you talking about? We have freedom of speech. We can say whatever the hell we want. Like this is the part where they scare people into not saying things. Now they're gonna pull your passport if you speak against Israel. Oh no. Okay, pull it. It's our First Amendment right to have freedom of speech and speak up and call this out. And if they're gonna assassinate us, that's war. How many times have we told you in this space, we're at war? This is war. These people are waging war. They're assassinating people on a daily basis. Charlie wasn't the first. He won't be the last. People die in war. But if you sit there and worry the rest of your life, oh no, are they going to kill me? I should just be quiet. Then you're already dead. You're already dead. That's the point. Stand up. Speak up. Go in the direction that's required to save the country for our future, for our children. They deserve it. They deserve to have a country that's not invaded with third world assholes that just want to come in and steal everything you have. And these major corporations that come in and steal our identity, saying, oh, it's American made, but it's made by Ching Chong over there. I don't even know what you call them, Ching Chongs or Gooks. They're holding them hostage to produce things in America and then claiming it's American made, made in America. Really? Is it really American made? I don't think so. That's called identity theft. And until you start calling this out and start calling out all these bad actors, it's not going away. That's step number one, is to call it out, to identify the enemy. Start waking people up to who the enemy is. We still have people sitting there flying all these foreign flags in America. You have Mexicans. What do the Mexicans want? Well, the Mexicans sure shit don't want a civil war. We'll push them all right back the hell across the border. You have the Chinese. What do they want? They certainly want a civil war because they want to try to harm our economy so they can be the new world dominant leader. You have Israel. What do they want? They don't want civil war. They'll all get pushed right out. They'll get their ass pushed straight out of the country with all their going, all the people they imported, all their Marxists, all their power will disappear in a vacuum because they don't have hard power. They have soft power. Where their power lies is indoctrination and money. But they don't have a military. You know, they have Mossad who will run around and assassinate people, but they don't have a military. They can't go to war in a country. They can't do it. Who else? What about Venezuelan? They don't want war. They're terrified. They're about to get taken out on their own. You know, it's like there's a lot of players on the board. They're not all the same, and they all want different things. What do the big bankers, international bankers want? They want full control. They want control over our entire monetary system and all of our electronics and surveillance. That's what they want. They want a surveillance state where they control everything. Is a civil war going to help them? No, maybe. It might. But a lot of these guys have plans for whether you go to civil war or not. They've planned all this stuff out. Well, if they go to war, we'll do this. If they don't and they wait, we'll do this. They're just waiting on you. What are you going to do? And that's the problem. Everybody else is too damn worried about, well, they said this. They said, do you want your country back? It's not their country. It's our country. Do you want to sit and wait for Gen Alpha? They're already a minority. They're only 48% of the country. They're going to get run over like a freight train. You want to wait for that? Yeah, this is the problem. Everybody's so damn worried about what everybody else is doing and what they want rather than paying attention to what we want as Americans. They're going to divide us. Yeah. What are you going to do about it? What's your strategy? Sit and wait? Somebody's got a plan for you sitting and waiting. Are you going to go to war? Somebody's got a plan for if you go to war. I mean, wake the fuck up, people. Go ahead, Rush.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. It couldn't be any more obvious that's what's being pushed. And I apologize, guys. I lost track of hands because I know there's a lot of hands up. I only see Overwatch's hand up, so if everyone could take their hand down, and put it back up, but jump in there.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I just I didn't realize you didn't see hands, so I've been waiting for a while.
Okay, sorry, Sonny. Yep, go ahead.
I just wanted to comment on something earlier that Mud said, and it's this the Irina Suritska subway killing. It's really that the reason that resonated with people is because she was such a clearly innocent woman. She was young and attractive, good looking. She's just sitting there using her phone, harming nobody. Clearly innocent. Did not provoke anyone. And, this savage zoo animal stabbed her in the throat. And I think that we need to be careful with Jew jacketing everything. Like that stabbing clearly had nothing to do with the Jews. That we can't, people are not going to believe us when we try to explain what harm the Jews are actually doing if we just keep shouting Jew at everything that clearly hasn't got anything to do with them. And like the other guy before me said, Soika, what's really happening is that we're being financially genocided. And this is something that we can clearly attribute to the Jews. And we're just expected to silently die away. The Jews, they have a saying that the old people will die, the young will forget, and the children can be molded into whatever you want them to be. So that is their game. That's how they play the game. And they know this. And what's the situation now? Well, the boomers are going to start dying off, right? And we're going to be losing numbers. And we're paying for these people to breed. We're paying for them to outbreed us. They're all on welfare. We're paying for it. We're paying for them to have 8 kids and shout Allah Akbar, That's where we're at. And if by some magic chance the Jews wanted to allow us to finally have a race war, then fucking hell, that would be the best thing they ever did for us. So yeah, that was it. Thanks.
All right.
I think it was Mud and True Maga next, Rush.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you, Overwatch. Mud, jump in there, man.
Well, for one thing, I never mentioned the Jew in what I said, number one. Number two, I'm just looking objectively from 100 feet up on, what's being shown and what isn't, right? And it just looks peculiar to me, right? But I don't, Soja, he has been fired yesterday, today, he's absolutely fired. And, I think two things can be true at once. There are, and the other thing as far as who our adversary is, I don't think it would necessarily be the immigrants. I think it's the people in charge that want to foment martial law and want any excuse, right? If they could light a fuse and make a quick excuse to foment martial law everywhere, that would be just dandy for them. And, so that's kind of what I've been kind of seeing, what their rhetoric has been, right? What the Larry, the Joomers are pushing, and some of these other morons are pushing. It's all weird and subject to change. These people push narratives like different flavors of ice cream, it seems. So I just trust nothing I hear or see, and I wait, take everything with a grain of salt. That's just kind of where I'm at. I stay on the fence on a lot of these stories and just wait.
Who's these people, though, Mud?
So, but yeah, it's just a weird thing to see all this go down and to understand they want divide everybody every way they can. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with a lot of points I heard, but we need a divorce from the Jew. They need out of our politics. We can't have dual citizenship. We can't have another country dictating what we can say and what we can't say. I mean, that's my biggest contention is our First Amendment that you're stepping on, truth be told, because I can hate what anyone says, but they have the right to say that stupid shit either way, right? And we can all be wrong. So I could be completely wrong on my take on it, and that's fine. I'm not the first time I've been wrong, right? So I appreciate all the input, guys, very much so. But yeah,
no, Bud, and we always appreciate your insight. It's just you said they and them. I mean, you were Jew jacking by accusing they and them of pushing the arena story, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people that have that theory out there, but I see it from that same group, and I was listening to the space yesterday. I'm not going to name the space, but it's the space that align themselves with the Muslims and allow Muslims to come up in your space and say things like, well, I mean, you committed the wars in our country. You did the bidding of the Jews. So now we get to stay here, and that is my problem. Is we have to call out the clergy bioweapon. I mean, that you yourself are very familiar with the clergy plan, correct? Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
It is exactly. Yeah. So they are committing this atrocity.
There can't be people that disagree with pushing out the Jew, right? And it's a 24-hour radio station, so they allow a lot of people to speak. But
pushing out the Jew, but the bioweapon has to go too, correct?
Well, what I'm saying, it's not a stance that everybody takes, is all I'm trying to say.
Right. But do you agree, though, that we have been attacked? All Western nations have been attacked through the clergy plan to wipe out those Western nations. And our only chance of survival is remigration and getting all of these people out of our country. So to me, having examples like Irina, they took that Irina case and it's blown up over in Japan. They just had 2 people in Japan stabbed on a train by Ethiopians. All right, there's no video of it. The state has not released video because of the obvious implications of it, because they're trying to push this same invasion into Japan right now. That video of the Irina stabbing is circulating in Japan like wildfire. I saw one the other day that had 6.5 million views in Japanese language. But
that's gonna wake the samurai. I hope it does.
Right, exactly. I'm just pointing out examples of this is making our people racially aware. It's waking up our people. You can't say anything negative that is coming from it. And the Jew jacket it and say that it was fake and Israel's pushing it, it invalidates it, and it does kind of take away from that momentum that that poor woman gave her life to give us. So I mean, I don't think it's a false flag. I don't think it was a Jew jacket. I mean, it's obvious that woman was murdered, and the last thing they ever want us to do is collectivizing on our own people and pointing out that 13% of the U.S. population commits 53% of murder. And that's actually a hate. That's an ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. That is a hate speech term to say 1350, even though it's 1354. But here you are telling us that they're pushing that. I mean, it's crazy.
Let me clarify my stance. I keep saying this, and I'll say it again. I'm clarifying my stance. I'm not saying one way or another. 2 things can be true at once. I agree with you that it has woken up a lot of white people and others, and I agree with you that it may not be a Jew jacket. I'm just talking about 2 subjects at once is what I'm trying to do, just to kind of clarify my position. I'm not trying to specifically say that case has to do with it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm looking at the overall big picture, right? and different factors concerning it. And the fact that my feed is filled with these murders they don't talk about. And I think it's weird. And then when I see Jumer and the other Patriot, all these Jew bot accounts pushing the story, I just, oh my God, that's weird. That's all I'm saying is things look weird. I'm not trying to say anything negative at all. I think it's fantastic people are finally fucking waking up, because white people need to, or we're cooked, right? I mean, we went from 36% globally to 8. Are you kidding me? This is a huge problem. We're an endangered species, so I don't belittle the situation. I don't disparage that people are waking up whatsoever. Just to clarify my stance completely, I agree with that part of it. So yeah, just wanted to set that baseline, my friend. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I mean that was your point, that it was fake, and that Israel was pushing it, and I'm just making the
Charlie's story. The narrative on Charlie's situation is fake and gay. There were 2 stories in my initial speech. That part is fake and gay.
So, Mud, can we send you to go live in like inner city with all the blacks, and you're cool with that?
I did that. I lived in the back of the yards, 47th and Ashland, on the south side of Chicago for the first, 20 some years of my life. So I know what that's like. It sucks ass. That's why I left the city, left the state, and never looked back. So I know what that life is like, and there's no way in hell. These people, all of these people that cannot assimilate to the American way of life need to go. I don't disagree with any of that whatsoever.
But Mud, if you said that there's all these videos that happen daily. I mean, I've never seen a video as graphic as that Irina video. I'd love to see some other examples that you have of these videos happening daily. But as there ever in my life, there's never been a video that more exemplifies the things that you already knew by living in that city for years. So wake up, the brainwashed populace that didn't that video. I mean, that was a very powerful video.
I agree, 100% it was. I don't disagree with any of those points whatsoever. So yeah, spot on.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Rush.
I just say we don't need to forget that video. We can't allow the Charlie Kirk thing to completely wipe out that very visual representation that we were given.
We have a lot of enemies, and to sit here and just pretend like we have just one problem, that's a problem. We have a lot of problems, and we have a lot of enemies, and the enemies are in the gate. You know, we have Ilhan Omar, the psychopath, who shouldn't even be in the country. She committed immigration fraud by marrying her brother and having sex with her brother so he can stay in the country. And you got Rashida Tlaib up there in Dearborn. You got Dan Deere over there trying to impeach Donald Trump. You got Vivek Ramscammer up in there trying to get us to go send our military to defend India. You got Dalia Ramirez in there trying to tell us she represents Guatemala and her whole family's in America illegally. It's just like you got Sotomayor, who sits on the Supreme Court justice, and she's La Raza. And La Raza is, the whole purpose of La Raza is to reconquer the southwest of America. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. We have a ton of enemies. We got China in here with all their nonsense, trying to buy up everything and poison people, kill them with fentanyl, working with the drug cartels. And then you got the drug cartels working with the bankers, and the bankers trying to push us into wars and sending weapons to the Ukraine so they can turn around and send them on the black market back to the cartels, right into their own hands that we paid for. And then they're flooding us. Our whole country is getting flooded with 30 million invaders under Biden, who we didn't vote for, by the way. Biden didn't win that election. He stole it. It was, this is not what the American people voted for. It was forced onto us to have 30 plus million invaders come into our country. Like, we have a shitload of problems. A lot of people are in the gate. We have a lot of enemy in the gate, and they're on both sides. They're on all sides. You don't have just, it's not just the Jews, it's not just the Muslims, it's not just the blacks, it's not just the Chinese, it's not just the drug cartels, it's all of them. All these invaders, how are we gonna get them out? How the hell are we gonna get all these people the hell out of our country? You know, this is the problem. We have a lot of problems, and we're never gonna be unified. These people don't wanna unify with you. These invaders aren't here to unify with us. They hate Americans. They hate America. They're just coming here to take what we have. That's it. Look at the way Ilhan Omar talks about America. Look at the way that all these people talk about America. They hate America. All these blacks, they all hate America. They tell us go back to Europe all the time. Yeah, we have tons and tons of enemy and problems, and unless we start getting serious about kicking these people the hell out of our country, then we're toast anyways. And that's a fact. Doesn't matter if you go to civil war or not. If we don't remove these people, we're toast. I don't want to leave this to my kids. I don't. You know, sitting there and allowing these big corporations. Who sits at the head of Hyundai? Who's human trafficking these people into our country illegally? Who's responsible for that? Who's the CEO of America for Hyundai? Anyone gonna talk to him? Anyone gonna go up there and say, what the hell are you doing? Invading our country illegally? Anybody? I mean, because that's what it takes. These people have to be confronted and say, what the fuck are you doing in my country? You're invading our country. Fuck you, get out. You're not welcome here. That's what has to happen. The American people have to understand what the hell is going on. No more fucking kumbaya. These people aren't coming and invading your country to be fucking kumbaya. They don't want to be your friend. They're not here to be your neighbor. They're here to conquer. They're here to take. They're here to rape, murder, pillage. That's what they're here for. We see it. Go look at the crime stats. Go look at their behavior. Go look what they're doing. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. And people need to make these people feel uncomfortable. The ones who are doing it, the ones at the top, need to feel uncomfortable. The ones responsible for doing this kind of shit, they need to feel uncomfortable. They need to know that America sees them. The people, we the people see you. We see what you're doing. We see that you're trying to wage war on our children. What about all these presidents of all these universities? Or pushing Marxist ideology, waging war on our children, trying to get them to chop their genitals off? What about these teachers? Anyone gonna go have a conversation with them? Because that's how it changes. That's what it takes. Make bullying great again. These people need to know that they're not welcome. Their bullshit is not welcome. We don't want you in this country. We don't want that in our country. We're tired of it. All these organizations, all these NGOs, who's sitting at the top of them? Who's responsible for invading the country? Take names. Start paying attention. Start making them feel uncomfortable. It's unacceptable. We're not going to be invaded peacefully. We're not going to sit there and just let these people invade us and do nothing about it. At the minimum, make them feel uncomfortable as hell. Make them feel unwelcome as hell. That's how it works. That's why people leave. Happens all the time. Doesn't have to be violent. You can make these people feel uncomfortable. When people become uncomfortable, they change. They always say, oh, Americans not uncomfortable enough. Why do they say that? Because once people become uncomfortable, they change. Make these people feel uncomfortable. That's how you force change. And again, it doesn't have to be violent. I mean, you can get under these people's account even on here. Even your politicians. Start going at them on here. CEO of a company or president of a university that's pushing shit has an account on here. Get under it. Start getting after them. Start pushing back. Do something. Go ahead, Rush.
Yeah, I mean, we have to take the roll with the punches and take the news. I mean, that's kind of what this space is for. I posted a video, just a little bit of an advertisement for the space, but also to bring everyone's attention that we have a bunch of Indian scammers that are listening to our space, and they're involved with crypto. And they're taking the general's PFP and the banner and shooting people friend requests. And I've seen a couple of people follow him. I think Soika followed him at one point. Back. Know that we're never going to shoot you friend requests. We're never going to shoot you DMs, and we're never going to push crypto on you guys. Just have that cognitive reasoning. It's crazy that I guess the space is getting enough attention to where the Indian scammers are trying to directly target our audience, guys. They've never directly messaged me, so it is an Indian scammer that's coming in the space and going down to the people in the listener and trying to attack you guys. So just be aware and keep aware of this thing. It's also a pretty funny video of a girl. I tried to upload the video once and it wouldn't upload because the file was corrupt. So I went and found another video. This has happened multiple times. She's called Indian scammers and faked the car accident, both men and women Indian scammers. The Indian scammer after her car accident is like, "Oh, are you okay? We'll still give me your credit card number." It's the most hilarious stuff ever. But True Maggot, you've had your hand up forever, buddy. Jump in there. Good morning. Good to see you.
All right, man. General's killing it today. Mr. Republic, if we can keep it, but I don't think we're keeping it. I just want people to remember mRNA 5G. We never hear that from anybody. That stuff is connected. Control and digital ID. I'm just going to mention that real quick. Remember that stuff because they don't want it. And remember what RFK Jr. found out, that everybody is taking money from Big Pharma. Remember, they were trying to give you a hamburger to take the fucking vax. So I don't know what the heck's going on, but it's a freaking major control system. General talked about what we want. I mean, they don't care what we want at all, obviously. That's the last thing on their mind. And if we don't speak up, like he said, somebody else is going to speak up. So we should get a lot more people grabbing mics and speaking up if they want to. Because if you want your country back, I mean, who sold our country anyway? I mean, I think it's all about like oil, Saudi Arabia, Israel, they're all together, oil infrastructure. We're protecting our oil interests over there. Big money is behind all that stuff. Soika was talking about the jobs. The job numbers coming out, the revised job numbers are 911. Okay, that's the first number on it. The last three digits are 000. So 900,000 jobs we've lost. But 911 is the number. It's so fucking weird. They just came out with that. It's about to come out in a couple of days, the revised job numbers. And then he said, bring on a civil war because we're going to win. Well, I want to know what Rush thinks and the general thinks. Whose side is the government going to be on in that civil war? Because if they're not on our side, we're not going to win because they got way more shit than we do. I mean, that's just my opinion. So we got to win through like diplomacy and I don't know what we're going to do, but we got to win that way. And the last two things I want to say about Charlie Kirk, I forgot to tell you. He was going against major donors. He was mad about them like what you were saying about that, he went against October 7th. He said, like I've been saying, that most secure border in the world, and a hang glider flies across it. That pissed them off. And then the plane that took off all of a sudden just disappeared off radar. So that was just two other things. But I'll just stop there. But you guys are killing it today. Everybody repost the space. I reposted it. You got to get this thing going. We're getting a lot of people here right now, 300 listeners or something. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, it is interesting that the job numbers, and Biden lied about 900,000 job numbers. Trump knows that that's a lie. We have millions of Americans out of the workforce completely. Millions of Americans seeking jobs, and the Trump administration has already maxed out H-1B visas for this year and talking about adding another program. I mean, so it really is going to be what side is Trump on? And to me, I mean, I've been hopeful this whole time. It seems like Trump is not on the side of the ethnic Americans, in my personal opinion. But DEI, you've had your hand up forever. Jump in there, buddy, and then we'll get to Europa and Ant. And Grandma Michelle, I haven't seen your hand up. I'm not sure if you want to jump in there, but we'll get to you in a minute too, though. DEI, jump in there, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Russ. You know, you see everything going on, and we talk about it. You hear about it in this space a lot. But we're at 58%. That's what America's at, 58% ethnic American. And we started out, 90%. And I look at Detroit, you look at California, and then you look how they represent, like New York. Is New York City going to be voting for this socialist? Well, look at how many Caucasians are in New York. Look how many Caucasians are literally voting for this guy. 30% of New York is white. So, I think it's odd how they continue to say this is New York, this is California, this is how they vote, this is what's going on there, and they try to present it like what happens in California goes on. When it first hits California, then he gets the rest of the country, right? Well, if California is 35% white, and the Democrat Party has shown the Democrat Party has shown their hand. They're the ones that institutionalized DEI. They're the ones that put all of the taxes, the ESG scores on us. They're the ones that flooded with strictly black and brown people. I don't know how many Caucasians you saw coming through the border illegally, but I didn't see very many. I can honestly say 95% of them were black and brown. And so that being the case, they've played their, I think they've made it very clear how they feel about white Christians. I think it's been made very clear, and I'll land it there. Thank you.
Yeah, they are replacing us. New York has always been a high, migrant population, but since 1965, it consisted of very few Europeans. So it is where they invaded us. My biggest frustration is we had Abbott during the Biden administration, just as we were flooded with tens of millions of illegal invaders across our border. Rather than activating the National Guard and shutting it down, he was allowing them to come across the border and just busing them up to Chicago and New York, and where they've taken over the cities, cooking rats on the cities, all the crazy stuff you're seeing. The Trump administration, rather than gathering up all those people and taking them back to Mexico, they just turned off the hotels. So it's spread. All those people that couldn't afford to live in New York City, they just exploded on all of New England like a bomb. They exploded on the Midwest from Chicago like a bomb. It almost feels intentional. The way that was handled, and we have a huge issue in this country. When you have tens of millions of people in your country that aren't supposed to be there, you've lost control. You've lost complete control of your migration, your immigration, every aspect of your nation. And it's frustrating. The Trump administration that ran on border security, ran on getting the invaders out of our country, people holding up signs of mass migration. It seemed like their only interested invaders, once they get to our country and they break a law, so you get to our country, you rape or murder someone, then they will deport you out of this country. I mean, it's pretty crazy what we're dealing with. Or the Hyundai guys. This seems like to be the only illegal workers they've gone after is just a couple small facilities. We're not seeing any major attack on it, in my opinion. But Europa Static, jump in there, man.
Hey, how's it going? You can call me Roger. You don't have to call me that mouthful of a moniker. I'm with European Americans. We're a white nationalist group here in Michigan. Detroit was mentioned. I actually think Detroit is one of the metropolitan locations of the United States that could actually be realistically taken back. That is our mission. But what I want to do, come on here and talk about, is that I came on here about a month ago to talk about the ethnic American idea. And obviously there's been a lot of grievances discussed so far in the space. And this idea that there is a kind of true American, and that is a white American, or as you guys call it, an ethnic American. I think this is prerequisite to our victory. That there's a kind of like a legitimate person who can live here and an illegitimate person who has to leave and go back to their homeland. However that's done. I want to do that as legally and as peacefully as possible. But this ethnic American project, you guys discussed the desire to incorporate t-shirts, which, that might sound small to people, just like merch, but you guys actually had a really interesting idea with it, where you were actually wearing the t-shirt, you are a billboard, you are broadcasting this message. And it's not even just for the IRL effect. You can actually do a lot of photo shoots. This is something I'm familiar with doing stickering and win demonstrations and banner drops and all this. It's really mostly about the online thing, you're doing it in real life, but then you're getting photography and videography of this and doing edits and all this kind of stuff, and then you can put that online. So I've come to constructively nag you and say, get your t-shirts up, because me and my group, we would be more than willing to wear your t-shirts around and get photo shoots. I think that would be awesome, and go and mog Detroit with ethnic American t-shirts. So I've come to tell you to get that up, and to ask what are your plans? When do you plan on getting that started?
We're in the middle of doing it right now as we speak. So
okay, cool.
They should be up real soon. We'll let you know when they pop up there. Hopefully by the end of the week we'll have all that stuff up and running. Thanks for coming up, Europa.
Yeah, thank you.
And just to my previous point, guys. So this is the kind of thing that you can do. So right now I went up to Hyundai USA, and I just dropped a comment under there. If you guys all want to go ahead and like it, we can ratio them and tell them to piss off for human trafficking people into our country. It won't be hard to ratio their retarded ass for human trafficking all these people and then holding them as slaves in our country. That's how you send the message. That's how you start making these companies feel uncomfortable. That's how you do it. You got to get in the comment section. You got to start blasting these companies, ratio them, let them know that we're sick of their BS. They can piss off. We're not going to buy their cars. We're not going to support their company. They're human trafficking and invading our country. They can piss off. Oh, we're going to make $26 billion investment. For what? For illegals? You're going to make $26 billion investment and have a bunch of illegals working at your plants? How's that going to help America? How's that going to help Americans? It's not going to help Americans. It's going to help them. And they're going to run around and say, these are American made. These are made in America. Yeah, piss off. They're not made in America. You're importing slave labor. That's not Americans making that product. You're stealing our identity. And to what Europa was saying, yeah, it's ethnic Americans. If they don't have at least 80% ethnic Americans working on that line, they cannot claim American made. We're tired of this bullshit where they come in, they steal our identity, because the whole world knows we produce some of the best products on the planet. But if you import Juan Cholo from Mexico and have him doing it, that's not made in America. That's not American made. That's made by Juan Cholo. You might as well go to make it in Mexico. You know, and then it burns our reputation. People are saying, well, this product is shit. Yeah, because Juan Cholo made it. It's not made by Americans. It's not American made. It's Juan Cholo made. But they're trying to use our reputation because they know we've built an amazing reputation, and ethnic Americans produce some of the best products on the planet. So they want to use identity theft and prop these up and claim, oh, it's made in America, investment in America. Bullshit. It's not an investment in America. This is raping our identity. It's burning our brand. Anyone who's in business and understands brand management will quickly understand this. They're stealing our brand. They're stealing our brand by claiming it's made in America, American made. It's not American made. It's not an investment in America. It's stealing our identity. It's stealing our resources. They're selling these cars to Americans while telling Americans these are made in America. Yeah, bullshit. They need to piss off. And people need to get in the comment section and start letting them know, like, all you are is a human trafficker. You're not investing in America. You're trying to rape America and you're stealing our identity. It's identity theft. We need to start making these demands to these big companies and start letting them know. And you can get in the comment section and you can get after them. You can do it. You don't have to have a huge account. We're almost there. Go ahead, a couple more guys. We've almost ratioed them in about less than 5 minutes. It's not hard. We're sick of it. We're sick of the bullshit where they come into our country, say, oh, and this is my problem with Trump. Oh, we got all these places getting big investments in America. Yeah, they're going to build something here and then they're going to import the workforce, most likely illegally. And all you've done by bringing all these companies in here, all they're investing in, all they're doing is helping to invade our country even further. Because even with Hyundai, Trump gave them a sweetheart deal saying, okay, you guys can stay here if you want. You don't have to go back. We'll make you legal here. And all of them said, F you, we're out of here. You effed up. You let these people turn us into slaves in your own country. Now, what do you think all those Koreans are going to think about America? Oh, America is just they just slave labor. America lets these guys use slave labor and treat us all like hell. Fuck America. That's what happens. They're not going to blame Hyundai. They're going to blame America. And all these people coming here and all these companies coming here and human trafficking these people as slave labor, they're doing it and they're just destroying our reputation. And they're telling the world, Americans made that. Americans made that. No, Americans, that's why you see Boeing jets falling out of the sky all over the place now. Because Americans didn't make those. And now that's one of our big companies in America. It's losing its prestige. And all of our brand is being burned to the ground. The American workforce, they're looking at Americans like, dude, what the hell? You guys built shit. Well, we didn't build it. They pushed us all onto welfare and brought in a bunch of illegals to take over and build it up. And then they said, it's made in America. It's American made. And then they fall out of the sky and everyone looking at us like, are you guys retarded? What the hell happened? Well, it wasn't us. And they're going to say, we don't believe you because it's your country. How the hell are you allowing these companies to bring in tens of millions of these people to replace you and you're just doing nothing but sitting on welfare? Really? We don't believe you. That's what's happening. That's what the rest of the world is looking at you like a joke. It's a big problem. But, Rush, you want to jump in there or we'll go to fish?
Yeah, I think it was Ant first, but either way, whoever was first, gentlemen, please go ahead.
I'll go ahead if you don't mind. Good morning. To your point earlier, Rush, I got one of those friend requests or whatever you call it, invites from General, and I was like, oh man, I finally arrived, But then I started looking and it said alternate account, so I started trying to match stuff up and go back and back, compare them, and they're pretty good. Because I almost fell for it. So, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. So, the gentleman earlier was, discussing that, we sometimes get caught up in blaming, the Jews for everything, or Israel. And but I was listening to Alex Jones yesterday, and he just, spent a half hour trying to convince us that it was these freaks, the transgenders and blah, 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 blah. And that, they work on their own. But that contradicts everything that he ever said. And we know it's George Soros, which is a Jew. So ultimately, they are behind everything, whether it's they're pushing policy or whatever it is, they've got their hand in it. So yeah, they love to divert, they love to divide and conquer. And so what they do is they poke the bear, and then they stand back and watch us fight each other. And they've done it for years, all the way back to the Stalin days. And so it's just one of their tactics. But yeah, so I believe that they are mostly responsible in some way or another. I mean, you have your outliers, that do things on their own, but most of these people were messed up through policies that have been pushed by the Jews, by George Soros, whatever it is. So anyway, I just wanted to make that point because I know they try to, make us look stupid. That's what they want you to do. They want you to go, how can you say it's us when it's these transgenders? Well, a lot of people can't put it together that they're actually behind all that's going on. I mean, just last few years is when we started seeing all this. So they push really heavy. And, you might say, well, how'd one guy be responsible for that much chaos? Well, if you look at his history, he's overthrown governments in the past. This is not new. This is a big task. They've taken many years to do it. But I mean, I would say they're being successful. I've never seen the brain damage that people have in my whole life. So anyway, thanks for letting me speak.
Well, yeah, if you look at what they did and what the Bolsheviks did, the first thing they did was implement a bunch of anti-Semitism laws. That was the first thing they did when they came in, and then they proceeded to murder 30 million white Christians. So, I mean, Trump is looking very Bolshevik right now, to be honest with you. With all these anti-Semitism laws and all this bullshit he's putting in there, that's literally exactly what the Bolsheviks did before they went on a tirade and murdered 30 million white Christians over there. So, Trump's not looking so great, allowing this kind of bullshit to be pushed through. And anyone, again, take names, anyone who's putting these bills forward And voting for these bills to be passed, anti-Semitism, take your rights away if you say something, if you're critical of Israel. Like there's nothing anti-Semitic about criticizing Israel. Israel's a secular nation. If they're connecting the two, they're saying it's not a secular nation and it's not a real democracy. So that's their whole argument. Israel's the only democracy in the Middle East. Who gives a shit? Why do we care? All they're doing is pushing all these countries over there to collectivize and turn into some big ass caliphate that's gonna be a big fucking pain in our ass. That's what they've done. They removed the entire structure we had in place to make sure they could never collectivize. Israel pushed wars and wars and wars over there to remove that entire structure. And now that it's removed, voila. Now they're collectivizing. They're making a Arab Union. Good luck. And it's going to be a big ass pain in the ass for Europe. And guess what? Who's invaded Europe already with 100 million? The Arabs. The Arabs. So yeah, Europe's going to have one hell of a fight on their hands when they, thanks to Israel doing their dumb bullshit. Oh, they're our enemy. They're our enemy. We have to stop them. We're the only democracy in the Middle East. Yeah, you just unleashed the fucking dragon. We told them this was going to happen. We called it out on the show. You do this, it's going to happen. And here we are. It happened just like we said it would. If you shit in bed, you got to sleep in it. You know, that's, I don't think Israel's going to do so hot when all those Arab nations surrounding them with 2 billion of them on the planet decide to turn on this little dumbass Israel. They set it all up. They paved the way for them to do it. They're retarded. Now we're going to have to deal with it. But Fish, go ahead, jump in there.
It looks like he dropped down. I apologize. Should have went to Fish first. Fish, I shot you an invite if you can come back up, buddy.
I still see him. Fish, are you there? I still see him up here on the panel. Did he drop?
Yeah, I see him as a listener. I shot him an invite, but...
Alright.
If you're there, Fish, speak. But, and if you want to respond to that, and then we'll get to MAGA.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, back to Stalin. So, it kind of reminded me of, with Charlie. So he's, they were in his government and, pushing. But when he turned his back on him, he finally started getting rid of him. Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they ended up killing him. So, and that's what we see throughout history is that they'll use you, and then when you finally wake up or whatever happens and you want to get rid of them or you then they turn it, they'll kill you. And I think that's pretty evident. So even though people were talking about this guy, that freak show that supposedly killed Charlie, well, I'm sure they're indirectly responsible somewhere in there. So anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks. It looks like Fish did cycle back up there. And Fish, I used to think you were that Russian weirdo that goes around named Fish. I'm glad you got a profile picture now. Good to see you. Jump on in there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I'm just thinking I'm not I just got a profile picture and stuff, but I was just thinking we're so much worse than the Weimar Republic, if you looked at the Weimar, right, it was probably 95% German. We're probably I don't know, biggest, most beautiful cities. I mean, I live in Minneapolis. It's got to be 20% white, and that 20%, they all go to like pride parades and stuff like that. So like we're like in a bad place, you know. It's kind of scary, and like everyone's always talking about like, oh yeah, Charlie Kirk will like rise up, but like it was so beautiful to vigils, but like no one's gonna start fighting, you know. And it's every day we wait, right? It gets worse and worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to build up that sentiment when you have people saying, "Oh, you know, don't fall for it." I was really hoping to see more things from this Charlie Kirk. I was hoping we could have national protests. I think a little bit of it's being disseminated though by us being lied to. You know, it's so blatant. There's so many questions in this murder, and they're just telling us to ignore them all. Ignore that Netanyahu has tweeted like 30 times over this murder when he hasn't really ever even talked about Charlie Kirk in any history. To me, it's just so obvious that Israel is involved, and then we have our leadership telling us that they're not involved, and posting pictures of the president hugging Charlie Kirk in front of Israeli flag. It does kind of make that misnomer, because they are trying to just blame the trannies, even though this guy wasn't a transgender, and blame the radical left. And I agree, the radical left is the problem, and the radical left may have been the ones that committed this crime, and it would be good to see us, placate against them. I mean, protest against them, but they've already lost. I mean, transgenderism is out the window. LGBTQ is out the window. They've lost all support in America. Why do we even need to have that? This is a battle discussion. I mean, the real problem should be, who was behind killing Charlie Kirk? Who was behind the Discord server that supposedly gave him the weapon? The neighbors said there were out-of-state plates constantly visiting him from different vehicles. Really, let's get to the bottom of it, of who was behind this murder, and maybe the American people will stand up for that. But I mean, I thought we would have more people standing up for Irina. And every protest I saw, they seemed pretty small numbers, and that's we talk about this all the time in America. Our population is just so spread out. We're all over the country, and it makes it difficult to get 2% of that population really to show up and have effective numbers like we were seeing over in the UK and Europe, because it's just so difficult for us to get there. It's not a 3-hour car drive, it's an 8-hour plane ride. So I mean, it's I don't know if we'll ever be able to have a national type protest here in America. I mean, we're going to need a large support from an entity like the president. If President Trump would come out against Israel, I think we would see huge support for that. But I'm not seeing him go down that path. Unfortunately, but one tribe, really good to see you, buddy. It's been a long time. Jump on there.
Hey guys, yeah, it's been a minute. Have you seen the other video of the guy off to the side, presumably pulling up a pistol or some kind of? It's the shot where you got the two guys giving hand signals, right? The one guy tips his head, or kind of touches the bill of his ball cap, and then his ear, and then there's the taller dude in the black shirt that puts his arm out front and does something. Behind those guys, in the audience, very close to the rail or the fence there, you can see, and this has been pointed out a couple of times, you can see the guy raise his arm, raise up, or his elbow raise up, and it's kind of grainy, right? Because they're zooming in on it, but I don't know. Have you seen that? Because I can tell you right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't you think it looks like
it would take its head off?
Right. Well, not if it hit his vest first. If it was a vest and it was a ricochet up, that's why we need to see the autopsy report. But there's two videos of the person at the side. There's one where the security guard has something tucked underneath his elbow, and he turns and positions his body to where that object would be pointed right at Charlie Kirk's neck, and then after the shooting, he turns away and tucks it away. And then there's the person from the crowd who raises something up from the crowd and points it at Charlie Kirk. I mean, it does look odd the way they're raising it up. It does seem like there's even recoil off of it, but there's not a single eyewitness in that crowd that saw that person raising a weapon up and pointing it at them. I don't know. I find that extremely hard to believe. But I mean, there is all kinds of inconsistencies coming out of this story, and we have the FBI posting the video. I mean, it'd be interesting to know if this guy did fire a weapon, if he had gunpowder residue, located anywhere alone, because they found him within 24 hours, or it was 48 hours. So they should be able to get some kind of other evidence.
32 or 33 hours they found him.
Yeah, so there should be more supporting evidence. But it's just full of holes, the entire story, and no one is believing the narrative.
Right. I mean, when was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? You had this other tranny shooting into the church. Right. It's so obvious that they want this clash between the right and the left. I mean, I think General made the point earlier, who benefits in a civil war. This is just, it was a professional hit, but it with a retarded fucking cover story narrative that no one believes, right? It's almost as if it almost feels like half-assed done. Like they almost don't even give a shit anymore. They might as well just come out and say, yes, it's us, it's Mossad, we did this because Charlie Kirk was fucking not staying on point and speaking and starting to question Israel. I mean, I don't feel I need to dig any deeper than that. So my 2 cents. Good talking to you guys, though, man. It's been a while. Appreciate the mic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they want a civil war, though, guys. The last thing they want is to lose control. They want MAGA to be scared. They want MAGA to say, oh, all these transgenders are shooting up schools, they're killing influencers. We need to empower the government to go after these people. And to me, that's exactly the direction that MAGA's following. They're completely following these evil trannies. There's something that needs to be done about this. We have to get these radical leftists and stop them somehow. Let's give the government all the power they need in Palantir and not care that people are being arrested for thought crimes. Oh, wait, more people are being arrested for anti-Semitism than are being arrested for being a transgender and having, being a part of these transgender groups. I think it'll be on the back end and no one will even realize it. So I don't think the goal is civil war. The goal is to give the government more power over us, similar to the Patriot Act. We know this Palantir Gideon systems are coming down the pipeline. I personally think they're trying to build up stuff for that. That makes much more logical sense.
Quick alternative theory, if I could, real quick. Not alternative, I do agree with that, but could it be that they want just enough of a conflict where they can suspend or restrict the Second Amendment rights? Because once they are able to do that, then they can really just close the vice on all of us all at once, all the white people. And then then you got your Palantir that's connecting the dots on every part of our lives and developing a social credit score, and they can, debank you, shut you down, get you fired, whatever.
I mean, did you see what just happened in Nepal? Those were unarmed.
no weapons, Asians. They're overthrew their entire country, and it murdered lots of their politicians. I mean, that it got really out of hand very quickly. I don't know. I don't know if they're willing to roll those dice in order to upheaval the entire system. It may be the goal, but at the same time, are you gonna say, well, now we can't ever stand up because that's exactly what they want? I mean, it is these 3D chess. You can overthink the situation, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I think that is the Second Amendment is, let's go back to the COVID in Michigan. The Michigan militia showing up at the State House. Was it General 1,000 or 2,000 armed citizens peacefully showed up in a show of force, and they voted to not extend the COVID lockdowns, and then that was the first domino that had all the other states and the rest of the world fall in line behind them. So I think that eliminating or restricting Second Amendment would work in their. I mean, would obviously work in their favor. I mean, that would be that's kind of a no-brainer, right? Turn this into fucking Australia. I don't know, just spitballing, but it's something that I am sort of in my peripheral vision. So anyway, for what it's worth, appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. It's when you have war levels of propaganda being pushed on you, deciphering what is propaganda and what are they trying to push you towards versus this. And I really think a civil war is the last thing they want because that could get out of hand extremely quickly. And that's also why the militias in this country, they've shown a lot of resolve, in my opinion. And I think they will continue to show resolve, and it'll be a pertinent time. I mean, we have to be high IQ about these things, but at the same time, not be fear-mongered into doing nothing. But yeah, True Maggie, you got your hand up for everybody. I'm sorry, jumping there.
Yeah, I think Soika was right about disarming us and what the other guy just said. I mean, I'm even starting to question, like, should crazy people have guns, right? I mean, so it's starting to make us question. That's what this whole thing could be about. Like, should people have guns? Look what's happening. And so when everybody starts questioning our Second Amendment, then it gets weaker and they can disarm us. And so that wouldn't be good. And, I think with the thing with Charlie, he was mentioning God a lot. This is just, let's say the thing was real and it's not all this other stuff you're talking about. I was thinking it would be because he's mentioning God a lot and those people don't like it. They don't believe in God, a lot of those people. And they think that you're a threat to them. And maybe that, if I was going to be talking about God, I would have a shield around me. There's this other guy that's cool. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, Ultra. He's not like straight, but he's totally conservative, ultra conservative, right? And he hates woke shit. And a guy like him getting up there to talk to the college kids, I think might be better because he can relate to those trans guys. And he cuts them down. He doesn't cut them down, but he tells them, don't be woke. You want to be trans or whatever, to do it in your own room. You know what I mean? So he's good. He probably wouldn't get shot in a situation like that. But the reason I rose my hand was this. Sustainable Developmental Goals, SDGs, Sustainable Developmental Goals, and then the UNDPs, the United Nations Developmental